What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. I hope you guys' day is off to a banging start. We are in the seats. We are ready to party today. And so I'm very glad that you guys are here with us. Drew, what is up?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Very well. You nice?
I am doing great.
I like to hear
Actually,
it.
very well rested today.
There we go.
Once last night.
Okay.
Yep.
I love it. Well, chat, I hope you guys are doing as well as Eunice. We're dialed in. We are ready to rock and roll. We've got a full list of things that we're going to be talking about. Plus, as always, boys and girls, we want to know what is on your mind. Are you thinking about the destruction of the Department of Education? Are you worried about layaway food? Born too late to buy a house, too early to explore space, but just in time to finance a Domino's pizza. That meme is hilarious. Now, I think probably a better place to start, though, Drew, is Department of Education.
Okay.
That I think is a far more interesting moment here in our history.
Absolutely. This has definitely been a divisive issue. A lot of people are freaking out and panicking about it. We have a skit about that later, but just on the top level, before we jump to the press conference, when you hear that we're dismantling the Department of Education, what are some of the things that go through your mind?
You should judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And the Department of Education tree has bared no useful fruit. I've got some stats here, dude. This is crazy. So these are inflation-adjusted numbers. Inflation-adjusted numbers. Department of Education in 1980 was spending $7,429 per student to put us in the middle of the pack, in some cases towards the bottom of the pack. In 2021, in an ever-escalating fashion, because it just literally year after year after year, it goes up. So checking in, by 1990, we're spending $9,416. By 2010, $12,406. But in 2021, $13,820 per student for no increase in performance. So let me get this straight. In 1980, you were like, okay, $7,429. That ought to do it. And then you're like, well, okay, that's not working. Let's increase. Well, that's not working either, Drew. Let's increase a little bit more. That's not working either. Let's just keep throwing money at the problem. This is ridiculous. We have almost doubled the amount that we spend per student to not increase the output of the system. And somehow people think that money is the problem here. Money is not the problem. The problem is expectations and execution. If you do not expect teachers to actually educate your students in a way that is measurable, you have a problem. And if you don't find ways to actually improve the system, you have a problem. Now, pushing it down to the states is not a magical solution. It's better than trying to do it at the federal level. And by the way, read the congressional statement at the founding of the Department of Education. And it says basically, we're trying to protect the state rights. We are not trying to make this a federal issue. We want to make sure that local governments have the ability to ensure that their educational system is working. It's like, what the fuck? That is not what happened. Not in the slightest. So this is bananas to me. You cannot look at a failing system and go, we just need to keep throwing more money at it. Throwing money at an inefficient system will never solve the problem.
100%. And just for clarity, the Department of Education sits on top of state and local individual funded departments. So just because the Department of Education is going away doesn't mean teacher salaries are going to get cut, all those things. Those are independent factors from a state by state, municipality by municipality basis. So this is something that was supposed to sit on top of the states to help it, empower it, make it better.
Yes. And one thing I do want to say, because you're saying that it won't necessarily impact the wages that teachers are earning. One, I would love to see teachers earn more so that we can attract just the absolute best and the brightest. And let's say that we already are attracting the best and the brightest. Probably not true, but let's say. Clearly, this is not a field where you're rewarding people with the kind of salaries that we look at a role that important and saying, okay, these guys are being compensated. But if I don't know if we can zoom in easily, but if you zoom into this, Eric, or tell me which, I don't see anything over there that's close enough. So zoom into that. This is actually what your money got you. So if the bottom line is improvement in terms of like test scores and things like that, the top line is the expenditure, and the line that almost matches the top line is number of employees. So we have added a metric shit ton of bureaucracy to education in America, but that has not yielded superior results.
Mr. Bilyeu, if you would
Yo.
like to send that photo to me, I could post it for everybody to see.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll get it to you. I should have done that automatically.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So yeah, this is one of those, I get people have an emotional reaction because it sounds absolutely terrible, but the reality is that we are currently underserving our students. And if you want to see us perform on an international stage, which obviously I do, as I'm obsessed with the Thucydides trap of America versus China, and I very much want America to win, we need to educate our students in a way that yields phenomenal results. So China's not smarter than us, but they are certainly educating their children better.
That graph is crazy to me because we literally just been paying for employees to do something that hasn't proven to be successful.
And kept doing it and kept thinking the answer here is funding. And that's why when I hear people scream that we are underfunded, please explain to me how it is that we pay more per child than any other country. We're number one in expenditure substantively, and yet we're middle of the pack to like even lower, like bottom third. That doesn't make sense. You have a fundamental execution problem at the highest level. You probably have a belief set problem. And I really think, and this is now where this is a personal bias for sure, but I think you have a problem of in leading so much with your heart of not wanting to leave anybody behind, you just keep lowering standards. Like if your response to people are not doing well on tests is to do away with tests, that's a crazy response. Mm-hmm. It's crazy in that it does not yield the outcome that you want. No, in fact, let me scratch that. People are steered by a value set that they either aren't willing to articulate or people don't believe them when they articulate it. Right now, we're driving by a value set that is, I don't want to make any student feel bad because they're not as smart as the next person, or they don't have parents that are driving them towards excellence, or the parents who are driving their kids towards excellence, like, I don't like how much they're making their kids work and we should just let kids be kids, and all of, like, that's actually what's driving us. What's not driving us is competition, an obsessive focus with innovation being the thing that actually helps people. And so the value set from where I'm sitting with my belief system is deranged, is a nation that worked really hard in the first, however many, 150, 170 years, got this head of steam, is now coasting and thinks that coasting is the thing to be applauded, not all the people that pedaled really hard to get us to that point. And look, I am well aware of the people that were not happy with that take in the comments, and literally, I don't give a fuck because I have stated my objective very clearly, and the things that they are doing are not leading to that objective. And so, unless you're going to address my value system, we're not even going to be able to have an argument. You need to be down at the level of what are we actually trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. If we don't agree on what we're trying to achieve, then we need to have the debate at the level of what are we trying to achieve. Then we can have a debate about the physics of whether the thing that you're doing is actually going to lead to that outcome or not. And if it doesn't, great. Then this is why I should say, if it doesn't, great, you need to change your strategy. At least now we know. People don't do that. They don't debate at the level of North Star, desired outcome. They don't debate at the level of belief. They don't debate at the level of values. And that's why they're two ships passing in the night and they're just screaming at each other. And it becomes team rhetoric. And it is literally like being in a football stadium in the UK, a soccer stadium, if you want American words.
Football.
Exactly. And you're literally just chanting slogans. Yeah. So it is nonsensical and drives me bananas.
All right, let's go to the press conference that Trump had at the White House yesterday and hear it from the horse's mouth.
Years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all.
He does say things in a way that is so, obnoxious.
And it sounds strange, doesn't it? Department of Education, we're going to eliminate it. And everybody knows it's right. And the Democrats know it's right, and I hope they're going to be voting for it because ultimately it may come before them. But everybody knows it's right, and we have to get our children educated. We're not doing well with the world of education in this country, and we haven't for a long time. And we're pleased to be joined today by the woman who I chose because she's an extraordinary person. And hopefully she will be our last Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. Linda, thank you.
I just think it's hilarious that Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon's wife, is our Department of Education Secretary.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know enough about her to know
wrestling
if
wife.
I
Yeah.
love it or hate it, but
That is our Department of Education. I just want everybody to remember that.
yeah. But here's the thing. If I know nothing about her, so this could be a clown show, but at the same time, being an entertainer does not automatically disqualify you. And people very much have to separate the entertainment from the values, ability to organize a group, get them focused in the right direction. It's like when people try to discredit AOC because she used to be a waitress. It's like, come on, meow. Like, judge her by her ideas, which at least I'm not a super deep scholar on AOC. Her ideas seem on the surface dumb, but that's just because she has a belief set that I don't think yields good fruit. Not because, she's clearly bright and she is very good at ginning up a base. I use that derogatory term because I think that she does this at the level of emotion. Which just to really inflame our crowd, because I know they really want us to get Gary economics. That's my takeaway on Gary economics is he is tapping into emotion. He isn't giving you facts and figures about what you need to do, why it works the way that it works. It's just emotion. And that is so effective. And I hate that that's effective.
I mean, it works. It works. And yes, in former Lemming, I know that she worked there in the first term, but it's still a funny stat.
She worked where in the?
She worked with Trump in the first term.
I didn't even know he was married.
You don't remember, like, she used to be
multiple times, right?
Yeah, she used to be a part of the spectacle. I remember she had a couple.
No, all the memes I've seen of him are the ones like where like girls are dancing on him and stuff, or he like cries, or he's like.
And I think that was all part of it with his wife. Like she became like it was all this stuff like in front of her. If you watch the documentary on it, it is pretty. I'm not a wrestling fan, so for me it was a bit cringe, but it is what it is.
We got somebody in the chat saying, specifically Daily Knowledge Blast saying, quote, "We have to get them educated. Let's eliminate that department with a palm."
Okay. Whoa. Okay, what's his name?
Daily Knowledge Blast.
Daily Knowledge Blast. Bro, dive into the data. If you can explain how you look at that data and go, this is working, then great. Remember, in fact, pull up that skit. So there's a skit, I don't know who this person is, but I thought that this was pretty bang on, of a person enacting both sides of the Department of Education. Watch this really fast, because I think people hear that we're eliminating education, not a dysfunctional department in the government that has failed to yield results in education. So here we go.
Trump dismantling the Department of Education is going to have horrific implications. So I actually think this is going to be super beneficial for us. But like, what are your concerns? Kids are going to lose access to their breakfast and lunch programs. Yeah, that's huge. The kids have to eat. But thankfully, that's already funded by the Department of Agriculture. Okay, but what about the special needs children? What about the children who need IEPs and special education services? What about them? Super important, and I fully agree with you that we need to protect these children. However, all of that is being moved to the Department of Health and Human Services, so none of that is going away. Okay, whatever, but what about the grants and scholarships? What about the Pell Grants? Where are those going to come from? Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was on a Pell Grant myself, and I understand the importance of having these grants and scholarships available, but thankfully, all of that is being transferred to the Department of Treasury. Whatever, okay? We need more funding, not less. You know, more money is just, it's not always the answer. Interestingly enough, adjusted for inflation even, the Department of Education's budget has grown from $14 billion to $80 billion in recent years, while student outcomes have actually gotten worse. Not just that, but nationwide, less than 32% of our children are proficient in reading, and less than 31% are proficient in math. The system is failing our children. It's time for it to go.
Yeah, I don't understand how people, it's comfort in perpetual motion. People are used to it. They look around, they say, oh, this world's not so bad. So let's just leave everything the same. But when you start looking at the data and realizing I can make a change to my behavior and get a different outcome. Now, I don't think that people should assume that simply pushing it to the states is magically going to solve this problem. It is not. So this is not the sum total of the solution. But if we can at least stop wasting money there, that would be a step in the right direction, certainly from a taxpayer perspective. And then if we let the states compete for who can do this better, hopefully we get a very clear signal that these people are doing it in the right way. What are they doing? And how do we begin to adopt that as other states? And then my hope is that the voting public holds their own state accountable to the standards being set by somebody else. And in my opinion, it is absolutely nonsensical to continue to do the same thing. In fact, spending more money. The same thing is to spend more money year after year after year after year for 4 decades and get no change in the results, but somehow think that continuing to do that is going to be the thing that yields the outcome that you want. It is madness. I don't comprehend the thinking.
There's quite a few comments about this.
Let's go.
Right now, actually. We've got Brutus Lugo saying you can find that the department is failing and still keep or revamp it, not or fix it, not eliminate it.
It's harder than you think. It is harder than you think to solve a problem from the inside. So again, I always say that this was Geoffrey Canada. Forgive me, Geoffrey, if it wasn't, but I think this really is his story. Can you take a note? I need to just do the research on this because this is one of those, I'm like, did I hallucinate this or is this really all him? Anyway, Geoffrey Canada, story goes like this. Grows up in Harlem, I believe in the 80s, during like a time where Harlem is really struggling. And he decides, oh, this is an education problem. So I'm going to put myself through Harvard, which he does. And I'm going to go into the education system and I'm going to fix it. He goes into the education system. And I think he spends an entire decade trying to fix the education system from the inside and realizes you cannot fix it from the inside, goes outside and starts working with charter schools. The charter schools end up delivering just insanely good results. And that makes sense to me. When you can build something from the ground up that addresses the problems at the level of execution, now you've got a shot. If you're trying to go into a system that is just like, imagine taking food that is rotten and trying to hide it by putting more spices on it rather than just cooking a new meal from ingredients that aren't rotten. That would be my take.
Community Coin says, perhaps if parents are more active in the education system, i.e. a co-production model, that would be the most reasonable approach.
For sure. I love parents getting involved. I think anybody who thinks anybody other than the parents should be responsible for their children is out of their minds. There have been plenty of experiments run throughout history that show when you try to institutionalize the raising of children, everything goes wrong. Everything. So keep the parents as involved in their kids' life as possible. Trigger the complexities of when you have both parents working. Obviously, this gets a lot harder. There's no doubt. Anyway, the idealized version of Trump's economic plan, which may or may not actually be real, as laid out by Howard Lutnick in an exceptionally good interview from David Freeberg, guest on the show before, amazing David Freeberg, love him the most. I got to get better at that. And Chamath Palihapitiya, amazing. Now, it presents what I would consider an idealized version that is not necessarily true. We'll play the clip later of Lutnick walking through the history of tariffs. He glosses over some things that just aren't, strictly speaking, accurate. So constellations in the sky versus the stars, we'll go through later. What are the actual stars? Like, how has the U.S. government actually handled income tax and tariffs throughout its history? The story that he told is simplified to the point of just not being accurate. You could say it's directionally accurate and so useful as a story. Anyway, we'll go through it. But the idealized version of the Trump economic plan could potentially make it such that people who are making $150K or less pay no income tax. I don't know how people would argue that that's bad. Like all the people beating the drum for it's always tax breaks for the rich. They are laying out their plan. Now, again, it may fail It may not, in second and third order consequences, work the way that they're saying that it's going to work. But they're very clear about what they are trying to do, what the end result is that they want. And so when I hear people push back against that, if your argument is it's never going to work like that, cool. That seems reasonable. I think there is a very real attack vector to say you guys are naive. But if you're attacking it at the level of philosophically, I want to see that happen or I don't, that's crazy town. That's I'm rooting for a team and I'm not on your team. And so I want to see you fail. It's crazy town.
I think that's the thing that people think cutting something means it's going away. And I think that what we really need to focus on is reallocating the existing pot of resources that we already have. Again, if you spend $1 million every day, it will take 13,687 years, 13,000 years to spend all that money from what we collected in taxes last year. So to say that it's a money problem, it's like we have the funding, we have the money. But to Tom's chart, did we throw that in the chat so they can see? Please look at that chart. The Department of Education has only added employees. It didn't increase the amount of education levels. It didn't help any kids. It just increased the amount of employees that were in the building. And I think that we need to stop increasing the amount of employees inside of buildings in Washington and start increasing the amount of employees in schools and the local community. So I think we just need to think about a reallocation versus
You need employees, not just at the local level. You need employees that can actually impact the level of education. So, for instance, smaller class sizes, more teachers. Okay, that seems like at least it's a reasonable test. Now, if there's already data that proves that it doesn't work, I'd be very shocked. But if there were, cool, I would look at it. But administrators is where you end up with all the money. And that's where all this stuff begins to derange. Like, you've got to have it right where the rubber meets the road, actually helping kids get educated. And that's just not how we're spending money. Spending money well is very difficult, and the government is really bad at spending money well. Lab experiment. Thank you. Thumbs up and share, please. Yes, please. I am really bad. I was watching Ask Kevin. Is that a financial show? Something like that. Okay. I was watching that yesterday, and he slides it in a lot. In fact, he does it too much, and I was like, okay, he's too far. I'm not far enough. Like and subscribe, everybody.
Bruce had a good point. And what happens when he doesn't want to reallocate it or reallocate it upwards rather than to the benefit of the taxpayer?
That'd be terrible. That would be terrible. And so if we see him do that, bang pots and pans, make a whole bunch of noise and say, this doesn't make any sense. This is not going to help. But if somebody sees evidence of that now, surface it for sure, because I don't want that. I am not on a team. Fuck the whole team vibe. That's a lie. I'm Team America. I wish that wasn't the name of a movie that I have not seen. So I don't even know what it means when I say I'm on the American team. Maybe I need to say it more like that. I hope that everybody is on the team of their country. Meaning, if you think, meet Kevin, not ask Kevin. Thank you, Armani. I hope everybody wants to see their country do well. And I would expect that every country wants to be number one in all the things. I would not expect somebody to enter the World Cup and not want to win. Okay, so that's just where I come at this from. But I would also want them to be sportsmanlike. Anyway, we'll end up derailing on that analogy. Did we address the concerns in chat?
Chat loves talking about this topic, by the way. They are
talking about it, or they like yelling about it?
They're talking about it.
Nice.
Amongst
like
themselves
it.
and
let's go
with you as well too. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is that I just lost the comment. Skirba
Skirba. OG in the feed. Let's go.
OG in the feed. Skirba. I've lost the comment since it scrolled too quickly, but Skirba mentioned something. The thing that worries me about this removal of this department is that it leans, and I'm just paraphrasing here because I lost it. It was
sure.
It leans towards the Project 2025 plans, and then somebody said, yeah, that is also.
I don't know Project 2025 well enough to know if we should be happy or sad about it. What are the key tenets of Project 2025 that you're worried about? And if part of 2025, Project 2025 is good, would you have beef with them implementing the good parts? And is it just that you think, these sneaky bastards, they are going to do the whole Project 2025. And so even though this is a good part of it, I now think that they're just going to keep going all the way to the bad parts. Because Take everything one at a time, always remembering what it is you're trying to achieve. I want us to be the best educated nation on planet Earth as measured by the ability to, you really do have to round things to GDP. I understand why that becomes the way that we look at things. I think this will be an interesting part of us going through the All In podcast with Howard Lutnick thing, is he talks about the way that GDP is measured right now. There's some nonsensical stuff in it, and I agree with him. But even in its flawed incarnation, I think that judging things that increase GDP is a very good proxy for the thing that drives human happiness, which is a sense of progress. Now, you also have to look at the poor and middle class. Like, I'm going to beat that drum forever, as if all of GDP is coming from the top 0.1%, that's a disaster zone. But assuming that you can get that spread out in a reasonable way, which is why I'm not nakedly opposed to tariffs. If they don't work at bringing manufacturing back, then of course I would say it's a bad idea. But I really do believe, certainly in what they're trying to accomplish, they are trying to bring some manufacturing back to the U.S., which you absolutely have to, because some people are not interested nor temperamentally or intellectually inclined to white-collar jobs. So I don't understand the argument there.
Project 2025. I don't know if you're familiar with like the TikTok trend that happened a couple months ago, where like they were playing old 90s songs, and then the younger generation was like, "Oh, I used to like, have you heard about this new song?" And then a bunch of older people were like, "Oh no, that was like my childhood growing up." So Project 2025 is like libertarian, conservative, traditional values just being rebranded through like a Charlie Kirk and these neo-Republican lens. It's the slashing of government. It's the elimination of social cultural policies. It's the promoting of traditional values. It's the same Republican playbook. I just feel like it's packaged in a new, fresh way for this next generation.
So my question would be, this is where we got to get out of the headlines, and I'm trying to roll up to these lives with more data now. What is the actual line in Project 2025 that people disagree with? So not saber rattling from team players, the line in Project 2025 that people have beef with. Let's pull that up. Let's talk about that. Because if people have a beef with a very specific thing that is likely to be terrible for the American public, let's just round it to average American. If it's going to be terrible for the average American, then bad mojo. Why would we do that? But if it's just that people playing team sports, remember, the Democrats and Republicans are playing a team sport. I was listening to a Republican I don't know her name, but she was on Piers Morgan. And I just absolutely hate that kind of political speech where you can hear this is somebody who has practiced their sloganeering. And instead of just getting into the hard reality of a given policy, they give you rhetorical arguments that are easy to remember and repeat, but don't interface with the day-to-day reality of what it means to be the average American. That shit drives me crazy. So both sides do it. It is the political game. It's the political game because people are easy to manipulate. I just hate it.
This is the mission statement from Project 2025, specifically when it talks about the Department of Education. So federal education policy should be limited, and ultimately the federal Department of Education should be eliminated. When power is exercised,
this is the opening line of the mission statement. So wait,
no, specifically for the Department of Education. So they break it down department by department. How they think the government should be arranged.
Line item. I'm with you. I was like, whoa, I had no idea this was about specifically education. Got it.
In our pluralistic society, families and students should be free to choose from a diverse set of school options and learning environments that best fit their needs.
Yes.
Our post-secondary institutions should also reflect such diversity, with room for not only traditional liberal arts colleges and research universities, but also faith-based institutions, career schools, military academies, and lifelong learning programs.
Not if they're funded by the government, would be my take. But I'm guessing this is exactly what they mean. They want to see the government pay for faith-based institutions.
That was your rub. Everything else was cool. It was just the faith-based stuff.
No, all of it. But that's the most triggering one for me. Anyway, I don't want to derail us now.
Okay. Elementary and secondary education policy should follow the path outlined by Milton Friedman in 1955, wherein education is publicly funded, but education decisions are made by families. Ultimately, every parent should have the option to direct his or her child's share of education funding through an education savings account, ESA funded overwhelmingly by state and local taxpayers,
Interesting.
which would empower parents to choose a set of education options that meet their child's unique needs.
Damn.
Okay. I have very little beef with that. I have some beef with that because you're going to get into a weird thing where everybody is asking the government to fund their specific kind of educational program with no indication as to whether or not it's actually performing. So rather than see something say that it either is faith-based or not, you need to have a way in which you have to be careful with this, but what the goal should be is to get to the point where education is being funded based on the outcomes that it presents. And so if something is yielding positive outcomes, then it continues to maintain its funding. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And right now, funding is usually predicated on a bunch of ideological stuff. So for instance, Trump giving or withholding federal funds because people do or do not allow transgender people, like a biological male, to play in female sports. Like, they'll withhold all of your federal funding for that. Not a big fan of that. That a whole school or school district would lose their funding because of that. Now, what's your enforcement arm for things like that? I don't know. I haven't thought about it, but I would want to see educational outcomes be the thing. You're going to have to audit that in some way, because if you don't audit that in some way, you're going to get people that lie, cheat, and steal to fake the results or whatever. So some sort of digital testing that's done that can't be gamed would have to be something like that. But yeah, I would rather see that than going into somewhere like Utah and saying that this is specifically faith-based education.
Yeah, to me, that's a school choice problem. So if you don't want,
but you want the federal government to fund it. That's where I'm like, pause.
But as it says, the federal government funds the ESA accounts, and then it allows the parents to make those education decisions. So if the faith-based school has 1 million kids, then the faith-based school is going to be able to prosper. If the faith-based school has 6 kids, then it's going to eventually close down.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe, oh God, I'll need to research this more.
Yeah.
I will stop speaking. This is the thing that you hate when I journal out loud. So I'll
For the
stop
lives
there.
we could journal. For the lives we could journal. I feel like if you, because it's one of those things, it is a difficult thing. So I think whether you're on the right, you're on the left, wherever you lie politically, it's not, we just do this one thing and education is fixed. Housing, yes. Taxes, like I feel like a lot of these.
Nothing is going to be a you do it one thing. Here is the where the rubber meets the road, where I cannot help but approach this as an entrepreneur. And I think about a school is going to request funding. They're going to, like, you're not going to be able to say that I have 13 students and I have a school. They're going to want funding at a scale that you will first have to give them the funding to see if they can give you the educational output. And so that you have a chicken and egg problem. Am I being asked to fund a school that has already proven something? Because if I'm being asked to fund a school that's already proven something, I'm here for it. So if you're a super religious school, or let's look at the other side. If you're a all transgender school all the time, we only accept transgender students. Cool. People are going to feel some kind of way about funding that. But if you're outputting, I should say Republicans, people on the right are going to feel some kind of way about funding that. But if they're showing the educational attainment that is the standard, why would you have beef funding that? This is what I'm saying. It's going to get into that.
The school, though, you fund the student, you don't fund the school. So that's what when it's at 100% fully implemented, that's what school choice comes down to. It's not that it's going money directly toward the school and then the school has to show the results.
Got it.
It's this student, wherever the student goes, the funding goes with that student. So schools will close down. It almost is a more, I don't want to say a free market problem, but it then becomes a schools that are better
You're
performing.
Right. I totally concede the point. So, dear parent, you can write a check from an account that we, the federal government, have funded based on your child. Go spend it wherever the hell you want. And if you want to spend it at the transgender school, great. If you want to spend it at the hyper-religious school, great. Yeah, love it. I totally concede. It's amazing. I'm here for it. Milton Friedman, well done.
It sounds good on paper, but of course, like you said.
Where is that going to fall down? Give me the hardest take against it.
Charter schools that are chasing money versus education. this will incentivize people to start a school in a warehouse with 13 chairs, and they can, as long as they can sell to 13 parents, they'll get the money. Like it becomes.
So can we agree that my idea is a needed amendment to this? That to continue to be a school that people can spend your educational savings account on, you must over a 4-year period. I mean, there has to be some sort of number where you can rev up, but you have to like put out the educational thing. Like these people, hey, they're very good at selling. So we've got a lot of parents that are taking their kids there, but the educational outcomes are trash. So you no longer qualify. This is not a school that you can spend your money on.
There has to be some type of results based stipulation on the
but not ideological.
Yeah.
So this is where I worry about the government. Remember, boys and girls, make rules for when the roles are reversed, that the other team fucking hates you. And when the team that hates you is in power, are you protected? And so I want to make sure that this is not an ideologically driven thing. If my school can yield the results on an auditable test so that you know that this is really happening, I am here for it. But there, I think, does need to be some sort of caveat that schools can lose their qualification, not based on ideology, but based on results.
Yeah. This is a very emotional conversation.
For you specifically?
No, I'm looking at the chat.
Let's go. What's chat have to say?
I'm not hearing points. I'm hearing insults. So that's when
who are the insults going at?
At us. Like you're
cool.
stupid,
Give it to me.
Dumb, but
I love it.
But
where?
But that's the thing. There's no.
Remember, I want my thinking to get better. So wait. Tom, it says Tom's dumb. I want to read it. Tom's freaking dumb. Sad. Scott, what the fuck is your point? Jesus Christ. If you're slinging insults, it is not fucking useful. For you, your job is to make whoever you want to go and harangue smarter so that if they have a platform, they are speaking to the world in a way that moves the world in the direction that you want them to go. All you have to say is, Tom is freaking dumb because it's going to have this consequence. And if he only understood this, which would have this consequence, now you make the world a little bit smarter. But Jesus, man. I'm arguing on your behalf. Let's assume I am fucking stupid. All you have to do is tell me in what way. Then we run a thought experiment. We say, okay, cool. If we adopt Scott's beliefs, then this is the likely outcome. Ideally, we can look back in history and see if running Scott's ideas against things that we already know have happened, does it have high predictive validity to describing the world that actually exists? If yes, he's thinking better. If no, then maybe not. But good Lord, guys, I don't mind you calling me stupid. I'm totally here for it. I assume that I am wrong about a distressing number of things. All you need to do is tell me what things I'm wrong about, in what way, and what the better way to think about it would be. And then we can all navigate the world a little bit smarter. But for fuck's sake, just saying that somebody is stupid it doesn't go anywhere. It just puts noise into the world in a totally useless way.
In this scenario, parents are choosing a school and they would have to judge the results their kids have. I've seen that they cannot objectively do this, though. This is from Leo. Parents are choosing a school. They would have to judge the results their kids have. Isn't that what a report card is, though?
Here's the thing. What they're saying, and I was waiting for this argument, you can't trust parents. Some parents are dumb, and so you just need the federal government to protect them from themselves. Cue tyranny. And look, I get it. It is a slippery slope, and it is not one of those things that's instantly tyrannical. We're living in that system now, and it's not like people are being shipped off to the gulags. I understand it. This is a values thing, but my value is I really think you can calibrate the world by asking them a single question. How should you treat people who are too dumb, by your definition, dear person that I'm talking to, that you believe are too dumb to navigate life well? How should you treat them? My answer is very nakedly, you must let them make bad decisions. There we go. That's my take. Yeah. Now, I'm super open to other people. What do you think, Drew?
I hate the dumb voter problem. And I know this is like one of your favorite takes.
This is the thing.
Because this is the line in the sand. So I love it. I think people should have the freedom to make dumb decisions.
Correct.
Because I'm from a God bless you, I hope you figure it out perspective. So it's not me to tell you what to do. It's you made a decision that led to B, that led to C, that led to that outcome. I'm here to help you through it. I can talk, I can bounce ideas, but it's not for me to tell you how to live your life. That's for you. That's a individual decision. So the dumb voter problem is just a problem for the dumb voters. And if you are dumb right now, there's plenty of ways to educate yourself in the ways that you will have those weaknesses and you can get better. So I'm okay with letting dumb people do dumb things. But having a daughter in a red state, I very much have seen strip mall high schools. And it's depressing to me where it's high school right next to a grocery store and there's 4 classrooms and that's their whole high school. And I think that's not a good experience. I prefer a football team and I prefer a marching band and I was in drama. Like there's all these other clubs that I think would give them a more well-rounded experience. But when you give it to when you have this choice-based system, there are going to be parents that are just like, all right, go to this thing. You'll be home by 2 every day. You're in school 11 to 2 and you on your computer for a half of that time. Like that's okay. They will have to figure that out. But I think me trying to force them into something better has led to an outcome that we all can agree is not good. So we can't just say, leave it how it is and add more money. That hasn't been working. So let's try something new. So
can I put a thought experiment out, dear chat, for all of you that think I'm dumb? Let me run an experiment with you. Can we agree that if we could create a public school system that rich people were just like, yeah, I don't need to put my kids in any other school. There's a school in my neighborhood that I can choose to put them in with my government granted dollars, and there they go. That we would all go, ooh, this is a good system. Because rich people, they can do whatever the fuck they want, including starting their own school, are not. And they're just going, this is awesome. Would that be a good barometer?
A rich kid going to the school. No. It sounds like it. I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. But
the other shoe to drop is you currently have a system where rich people are like, fuck this. I'm taking my kids somewhere else. I will build the school brick by brick if I have to. There is no way that my kid is going to your school full of dummies. That is the system you have right now. So if we can agree that if you create a system where rich people are like, this is dope, and a poor kid can go to that same school, you are in good fucking shape. And right now you have the exact opposite.
And that's why I think charter schools are catching so much steam right now, because charter schools is that mix of people that don't want to go fully private, but they know the public option is terrible. And it's becoming this intermediate middle ground as well.
Or they can't afford private.
Private is $16,000 a year, man.
Bro, I can afford it. And I'd be like, as a product of public education, I would much rather my kid go to a school that I didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for, whether I can afford it or not. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, if I had kids, I would send them to private school, the most private of private schools. I'd be like, yeah, there's no way. I'm not putting them, and I have concerns other than just the level of education. But let's all remember that I used to big brother for a kid in the LAUSD, and he once said to me, Tom, I already been had that. And I said, you already been had that. Yes, Tom, I already been had that. You already been had that. And he was like, what? Why do you keep repeating it? And I'm like, you know that's not how you say that, right? And he's like, what do you mean? That's how my teacher says it. And I was like, what is happening? I was mortified to my core. I'm like, if the teacher thinks the correct grammar is I already been had that, we are doomed. So this is why people that can afford to keep their kids out of public school, keep their kids out of public school. But I want to know, does chat think, sorry, go ahead.
No, Super Blue had a really good question. Is it still a private school if it's not private? If everything becomes a money-based society, or a student base, we're paying per kid, whatever new system is implemented, is there still going to be private schools that are now gate kept because they're just going to increase the college problem? Mm-hmm. We gave student loans because that way it can give everybody access to affordable education. What has happened? Elite institutions just got more expensive. Mm-hmm. Shitty institutions popped up like herpes. And then now, I was trying to think of something that like you didn't want to pop up.
Your university, boys and girls, is it the herpes version of universities, or?
But is this? We tried this in higher education. Could this be something that happens in primary education? And that is a good point, Super Blue. That is something that second order consequences that we might not be thinking about by just saying school choice works. Let's do that.
I'm not sure, as funny as I found that, I'm not sure that I tracked the logic. So here is the beef with higher education. Higher education is for many of them. It is certainly the loans are backed by the U.S. government, and you get schools that actually get funds from the U.S. government. Now, when you take the Ivy League has become extraordinarily good at both taking federal funds and building out endowments where they then invest and just have an absolute unimaginable amount of money. I mean, billions and billions and billions of dollars in these endowments. And do they use that to allow more kids into their school? No, they do not. And Prof G has a really good like thread on this like thing that he talks about all the time. I don't mean on X. And it is admittedly impressive. He was like, I had a 2.7 GPA and I still got into, I forget what school, but it was if not Ivy League, it was certainly elite university. Yeah, I think you're right. And the fact that he was able to get an education meant that the educational system took a bet on him and thought, okay, he hasn't done well in school yet, but we're going to give this kid an opportunity. And now, I mean, it's anything but, especially for a white male. So that strikes me as a government regulation involvement problem, not a free market problem, especially not a free market that has a check and balance at the end of like, this school only qualifies for people to be able to use their savings account if it has attainment, proof of attainment, that the students that are graduating from this school are doing well by a completely objective metric. I still come back to, I think that a barometer for this is it a school system that when people who are wealthy enough to do anything they want would still leave their kids in it? That is a great barometer. I don't know that you will ever get there, just because it is entirely possible that wealthy people are like, well, but I also know that what really matters is your network. And so I want my kids going to high school with other rich kids. Look, that kind of thing is very possible. But nonetheless, it is a very good question to ask of your educational system.
What about the hood problem? Somebody just said, I just want a school in Philly to not have bars on the windows.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And that made me think there are neighborhoods that aren't doing okay. And that could be whether they're poor, whether they're filled with like migrants or immigrants, whether they're rural counties that are just disconnected. What about those isolated locations?
Okay. Whoever can show chat something, type into Google, Lean On Me movie. And you will find that image. That's the one I want you to pull up.
Yes, I know Lean On Me.
Yeah, but there's other images, and I'm going to guess that the vast majority of chat does not know Lean On Me.
Okay.
Please pull up the one with Morgan Freeman and the fucking baseball bat, because this is a movie about a guy that goes into a troubled school where there's all kinds of violence, which is why the schools have bars on them. And guess what he had to do to whip everybody into shape? Have a fucking baseball bat and tell people, I'm not going to put up with that shit. And we are living in a time where people are not prepared to discipline people in a very aggressive fashion. The way that El Salvador got cleaned up was by saying, we are going to be psychotically draconian, to the point where I'm sure it would make me deeply fucking uncomfortable. And they just locked everybody up. And I'm going to bet a lot of money that innocent people got locked up, caught up in it, got put into prison, murdered in prison, and they were completely innocent and they were just wrong place, wrong time. But motherfucker cleaned up his streets. And if you are not willing to say that shit is extremely not tolerated, like you cross into this space, absolutely not. We are all about being disciplined, focused, and you're going to end up catching some kid in the crossfire that got caught up in some bullshit that wasn't even bad on him, and he's got to fucking go. And you just have to lay the law down, and like, this is how it's going to be inside of this institution. And if you are not willing to do that because you have a perpetual motion problem in culture, and there are areas, unfortunately, where motherfuckers are hyper violent. How do I know? Because I built a company that manufactured, and I was in the middle of these. Plus, I big brothered for a kid in South Central Los Angeles in the fucking 90s. So I saw this shit up fucking close. South Central LA is the only place where I've been scared in broad daylight, where I was like, holy fuck, I do not feel good. Because I used to walk to this kid's school. Bro, that was some deeply uncomfortable shit. So, yeah. But the reality is, unless you were going to tighten them up, not going to happen.
You
will have people
so
running around.
fast if a principal walked through with a baseball bat
Of course.
in 2025.
Yes.
You will go to jail immediately.
Dude, you will go to jail for spanking your kid.
There'll be a protest outside that he isn't using intimidation tactics and my child doesn't feel safe.
Correct. You get the world that you accept. And we accept people acting a fool. Dude, look, I know that this is probably a very minor thing and it's just the social media amplifies it. But when you see teachers getting body slammed on TikTok, it's like, guess who's not going to want to teach? So that's crazy town. You can't have that. So yeah, like back in the 80s, maybe late 70s, there was this group in New York called... Oh, I don't remember what they were called. Look them up, please, if you would, Drew. They were on the subways. They were like the something angels or something.
Like a gang?
Yes, but they were to clean up the subway. So they were like, if you come on the subway and you start shit, we will fucking crack you in the head. And so they were a...
Guardian angels?
Guardian angels. Red shirts, yup. So these guys were not for fucking play in the 80s, dude. And so the subways were so fucking dangerous that basically you had a gang that was like, all right, we're going to protect people. And at some point, somebody's got to be like, we don't put up with this shit anymore. If you don't, like if strong men don't rise up to protect, then you will get other strong men that rise up to abuse. Just is what it is.
Man,
this is the most I've ever seen, like chat pop off. About
keep feeding it. If it's especially if it's people that have a good idea and it goes directly against what I'm saying, so that we can all get a little bit smarter. I'm here for it.
If that was it based on the Warriors? Cafe Data said Warriors.
It's a movie.
No, I know, but I'm saying wasn't the Warriors was kind of like a subway underground thing?
I never saw it, so I don't know.
I never saw it either.
It's one of those where I've heard clips from it so many times. It's probably bad that I haven't seen it. I wish movies mattered like they used to. There's no looking back, but
Vladimir said they would enact a new minimum penalty for punishment with that principal's name. He would get a whole law named after him.
Yeah. Makes me sad. You were waving your arm around like crazy. What you got?
We have a super chat.
Let's go.
Yeah. Thank you, John Cragness, for the $20 super chat.
John.
I really appreciate it.
Yes,
John
we
says,
do.
Tom, what do you see for ideology in university teacher training courses?
What do I see should be the ideology? The ideology, if that's what you're asking, should be that we are asking ourselves one question. What is going to allow somebody to thrive out in the real world? What will allow them to control? They don't need to want to be an entrepreneur. What will allow them to control their career destiny? How do we arm them with those skills and then hold ourselves accountable? You just start looking at this stuff. You can look backwards. You don't even have to just look forwards. Ask yourself over the last 30 years, 40 years, depending on how old your university is, how many people have gone out into the real world and succeeded? How much money has our average graduate made out in the real world? How many people have stayed at a job for a certain length of time? Whatever metric you think matters, ask yourself, have we done well on those metrics? And if not, what is it that we need to change in order to move forward? So the ideology should be efficacy, utility, period.
Ipso facto.
Somebody said, Tom, I would argue it's the same idea as disciplining that kid in Walmart.
But I want the kid disciplined in Walmart. So yeah, if you're saying you're with me on that, yes. This is crazy. You've got to be able to discipline kids. Minimum force required. I love that. It's a Jordan Peterson idea. I think it is brilliant. I don't want to see people abusing their children. But as somebody who is a product of being spanked with a wooden spoon, tree branches, what else did I get spanked with? Those are the two that I remember. My mom used to carry a wooden spoon in her purse at all times. She once broke a wooden spoon on my ass.
You were that bad of a kid?
Yes. And my mom kept me in line. And here's the thing. Oh, and also being slapped, which is the one that like really fucking sets people off now. And I'm like, thank God that my mother disciplined me and made me feel loved. So I always felt loved. I always felt like my mom thought I was the coolest thing ever, but that there was behavior that was completely unacceptable. And if I walked up to that line, I was going to know about it. Just that fucking simple. And dude, that was rad. I didn't run riot. I didn't get in trouble with the law. I graduated high school. I did cheat a lot. Mom did not catch me on that one. But I was nice to people. You parents are there to lay down the law. I think kids will test the boundaries, plain and simple. And a parent's job is to lay boundaries and say, you don't get in trouble inside these lines. You get in trouble at or beyond these lines, period, end of story, every single time. And that consistency is so good for the human mind. It is when you don't know what you're going to get that people sketch out. This is why frenemies are more psychologically damaging than an outright enemy.
I got smacked with a Nintendo game box once.
Let's go. By mom?
No, I'm reading AJ Veg's comment.
Like a
It's admittedly crazy, but
I bet you're in line though.
Game Boy or a GameCube? Because they said
does it matter?
Well, one's much heavier and bigger than the other.
Okay.
So, and one has a handle. The other one doesn't.
Technically, it's game box, so I think they mean the cardboard. But because I was trying to list the things that I had been spanked with.
Then that's all right. That's just a piece of paper then.
Well,
It's
I mean,
less
you
crazy
could
than a GameCube.
you could certainly, yes, far less crazy than actually being hit with the item itself.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I was OG belt hand. I had like a hanger one time. But that was just like they were just looking. They were just, it was a pop. It wasn't like a pop.
Right, just what they. I'm sure my mom has a whole. I'm sure I've been hit with ladles, all manner
all
of
cookware.
Things. 100%. But I don't have specific memories of that. But yeah,
you're one of the first few people I know that actually got spanked.
Really?
Yes.
I think that's your age. Everyone of my generation, not everyone, of course, it's never everyone. Yeah. But it was so common. Nobody in my grade would have thought twice about the fact that their parents spanked them. I mean, I've told you guys the story multiple times about the time when my friend came in and was like, I blocked my mom and she tried to slap me. Nobody was like, your mom slaps you? Everyone was like, word, say more. So, because we all wanted a strategy. Different times.
Someone said, Evil Fandango said, Tom's mom would put his hand in the blender, allegedly.
I still have all my digits, boys and girls. My mom would not put my hand in the blender. But my mom was dope, man. Mad respect.
Miguel Steak and Change said sandal. I forgot about sandal.
That's OG. My mom apparently wore only tie shoes because I never got hit with a shoe. Yeah. But that's like a meme on the internet. So a lot of people must have gotten hit with sandals.
Opinionated Glass House. I completely disagree. They said No Child Left Behind was the beginning of the end of the reliability of the U.S. education.
Okay, Opinionated Glass House. I don't know if it was the beginning, but I'm with you. This is
because you couldn't fail kids. That didn't make sense to me. Like you should.
Oh, you're agreeing?
No, yeah. I'm agreeing with him.
I thought you were saying you don't agree. Yeah. No, my mom worked recently retired in transportation for a long time. They would drive 2 hours one way to pick up a single kid instead of making that kid go through apparently the hell of switching schools mid-year. That is absurd in the extreme. You can't do that. That's so dumb. That is a grotesque misuse of funds. Boys and girls, life is full of hardships and people need to learn to adapt. It is what it is.
I'm glad we're all trauma bonding. Everybody got spanked.
It's not trauma though, really. I mean, look, getting
nowadays
beaten. Wait, my wife. I see my wife. Oh God, I love seeing her in the feed. I got spanked on the hand with a ruler at Greek school. We're gonna call that spanking. The Greeks really don't play.
No, that's
the Greeks are 40 years behind, and they're like when you see them, you're like, oh damn, this is not the people I want to play with. Lisa is her family. Is from a village, not a town, a village in the mountains. When I met her grandmother, I was like, how many years did this DeLorean just take us back? I was like, this is crazy. Yeah, so the fact that she only got a ruler on the hand, and her mom was raised by nuns in a convent, crazy stories. So yeah, different time, boys and girls.
And I also want to say there's different thresholds and things like that, because I'm seeing some people got hit with a lot of different things.
I got hit with a crowbar. That would be bad.
Yes.
That would be officially bad.
I almost got drowned.
That's aggressive.
Okay, there's a range, there's a threshold.
Yeah, that is for sure. There are lines. There are lines.
That's funny.
I'm just saying, the one time my mom woke me up from a deep slumber before school because I didn't wash the dishes the night before.
Let's go, Mom.
Ever since then, I have been very diligent about the dishes. So, you know,
It works.
Scariest person at 3 a.m. because she got home from work at that time. And she said, get up. And I was like,
I'm into that.
I tried the same
I'm
thing
into
to your
that.
point of like, let me get out of this spanking. I was like, if I go home and go to sleep, she can't beat me. I went to sleep at like 4 o'clock. She woke me up at 12. My mom was a nurse. She used to work 3 to 11. Woke me up 12 minutes, like, come here, let me talk to you. I got a midnight beat.
Well, that
I was
didn't work.
so mad. I was so mad. And I was
I'm tired and
Exactly.
getting hurt. This sucks.
I remember crying so tired just watching the dishes. I'm like, I just want to go to sleep.
I would have raged. But thankfully, my mother taught me that you can't just give in to your emotions. And so, yeah, she would not have put up with that. That is for sure. But I would have been so mad. So mad.
Again, it's a spectrum. I to wrap up the education thing, the school choice mimicking university does make me nervous. As I am live updating my mental model to steal some Tom words, I do feel like the university system is fundamentally broken. The government allowing for the access of loans, I think, has taken a percentage of helping that brokenness. If they do the same thing at the local level, not loans, but like you have school dollars. I can see school dollars turning into school loans, turning into the same problem that we have with kids being in debt at 18. I could see families being at debt at 11 or something like that. So I can
see people,
playing
instead
out.
of beating their kid with a wooden spoon, beating them with a chainsaw. But that doesn't mean that I think that the wooden spoon is a problem. If the government starts putting kids into debt, that would be a level of grotesquerie that I trust the American people will never fucking stand for it. But I've surprised myself because I certainly didn't go out and campaign about it. But the fact that we let student debt be releasable, I forget the name of it. You can't declare bankruptcy and get rid of your student debt. That is insanity. If you let people go through bankruptcy to get rid of that debt, all of a sudden people are going to get a lot more serious about who they do and do not give loans to, which I think market forces, you need those evolutionary pressures for sure. And by the way, a large reason that the cost of education is going up is because of secondary education, is because of administrators, not teachers. So you just get more bloat of the organization. It is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Okay, now we have a beef about spanking kids.
No, that one I'm not surprised about. I was surprised that you guys weren't bringing anything up because I thought for sure people were going to have a seizure.
Someone said, K Spanky, that's a good name, all right, very relevant, said, if the idea of spanking your kid or child is correct, why can't your neighbor whack your kid?
I think the really simple answer is that if a parent trusts their neighbor enough, they probably would let them. So there were for sure neighbors that my mom would have let spank me because they were so close, and vice versa. But if it's somebody you don't know, you just don't trust that they're evaluating the situation correctly. So it's like, let me take care of that. But I think if you go back in time far enough where we really were living in tight groups, this is why they say it takes a village to raise a child. This is about trust between the parents versus it being right or wrong for somebody else to do it. Because for sure, if your kid is out and about and doing something absolutely unhinged and you're under their watchful eye, you as a parent, I would think, want them to correct your child if they're really going off the deep end. It's just a trust game.
Yeah, I grew up like we had like a family community in my church and stuff like that. Like we used to stay at each other's houses and stuff like that. And yeah, any one of them could be like my play aunties or whatever. So neighbor, I feel like is stranger, but yeah, somebody in your community definitely.
For sure.
Just spank your kid though, like hit your kid.
Yeah, I got spanked by by people that weren't my
that's
mom or my
wild.
dad. Yeah.
I don't have kids, but I don't think I would want that.
That is this era. If you were really tight with them.
If your sister popped your kid, you would feel a type of way?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And I love my sister with my whole entire heart, more than anything in the world.
I thought that was my gotcha.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that answer. Okay.
No. I'd want her to talk to me and tell me that my kid was being a little dickhead.
This is one of those things where the two non-parents are going to battle it out here, which is as funny to me as anybody else.
Two non-parents.
But I will say, here's how I think that would play out in real life. When your child is running riot and you hear stories that you went to the grocery store and you come back and half of your plates are broken, and you're like, why are the plates broken? And your sister's like, because your kid went absolutely haywire. And you're like, why didn't you stop them? And she's like, I tried, but I can't spank them. You told me not to. And so you're like, oh, Jesus, I'm rethinking this rule. And so then and I am certainly projecting because this is 100% what I would say to my sister. I'd be like, yo, we don't let tyrants rule the house. So yes, if you need to restrain them, restrain them. Plus, my sister and I grew up in the same environment, so I know she knows the limits.
I think that's the thing, though, too, is my sister and I are both very much on the same page of like, because I watch her kids sometimes, and I know that she would not ever want me to also like spank them or hit them. But also, her kids are really good. So if I'm like, hey, stop doing that, they're like, all right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Minimum force required. If no force required, then no force. Love it.
But yeah.
All right, we should get on to that next topic, boys and girls. What do you got for us?
Real quick, Super Blue. People are saying that you missed some Super Chats. We have a dedicated slot for the Super Chats that we are going to read out, I believe, in like an hour or so. Less than an hour.
Like 30 minutes-ish?
Yes, so we're going to be reading all the Super Chats that were collected. Super Chats.
Including ones that we missed from yesterday.
Correct. Super Chats that are $19.99 or above will get read instantly. And all those will be
almost. I'll finish my thought and then we'll go into that super chat. Yeah. So our super chat rules, because you guys were revolting in the early days, we have set the rules. It's technically $20 or up. The problem is YouTube, for whatever reason, rounds down. So $19.99 and up will, as soon as I finish a thought, get to interject. Beyond that, we save them, we group them until about an hour and 40-ish minutes into the live. And then we'll go through them all. All right,
cool.
Drew,
all right.
What do we got?
In other news, DoorDash
content.
and Klarna have signed a deal where customers can choose to pay for food deliveries in interest-free installments. This hit the timeline yesterday morning, and there has been so many Big Short memes. I was in finance like in the previous life, so I was just loving all of them. My favorite one was, why stop here? Hear me out. A single BNPL contract for a burrito is incredibly risky. Anyone willing to pay for a burrito in installments can't be trusted to pay their debt. But what if we pull the payments together? The risk will go away. And it's like the Big Short meme with the dude. Like, it was just so funny how people were like trying to make like, we're about to start a food bubble, just like how the mortgage bubble, like the crisis and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think we're in a recession where people have to put their food on layaway, but wanted your take on Afterpay and Klarna for DoorDash.
I think that what's really going on here is you have a product that people want for a psychological reason that has nothing to do with being in a recession, though I think we have been in a stealth recession for a while now. I think that this is more about, I want a thing and the price of it on its face I don't love, but the fact that there's a psychological principle at work where when I see I can pay $18 for this meal plus delivery, or I can do, easy installments of $4.95, there's just psychologically the 4 installments of $4.95 when there's 0% interest sounds better. And so the company is taking advantage of the fact that that sounds better. And so even though you don't need to do it, you're going to do it. Before we went live, all of us were like, even I do not have to think about the price of food, of a computer, anything. When I see or make 4 easy installments, even though I don't do it, I still feel that, ooh, that's cheaper, that's better. So there's a psychological principle that's being taken advantage of. Now, what I don't love about it is that some people are going to end up racking up debt on something that they don't need to do, but that's the product because of my take on dumb voters. Anybody that allows themselves to get in debt over something like that is not playing the game of life well, but they still should be allowed to play the game the way that they want to play, and it will come with consequences.
I look at this as a greater indicator of the economy, but let me know if I'm overthinking, because the fact that, yes, that some people make bad decisions, and if they want to over-index themselves on food and they end up being leveraged and their Chipotle burritos sends them to the poorhouse, that's another conversation. But is it something where the middle class is dying, the working class are getting poor, inflation is happening, the rich is getting richer, we got an inflation button now.
We're about to hit it. Get ready.
Yeah.
It's inflation, everybody.
Is there something we should do? Because I feel like this is, it sounds good on paper, but like this is an indicator, like this is a bad idea. Like this is recession coded to me. They're like,
I don't read it that this is recession coded. What I read this as is people wanting to deficit spend because we inflate their money, and there's actual logic to paying for something that you can't necessarily afford today because the dollars that you bought it with will decline in value over the time before you have to pay it back. That is the obscene reality that we all live in. People don't want to embrace it, and it creates this sort of weird psychological effect where even if people can't articulate that that's what they're doing, they understand that saving money is a losing game. And so don't save your money. Buy things that have utility. But yeah, I don't love it. I would rather, I'm an anti-leverage guy. It should be available. People should be able to use it if they want to, and there are ways to use it very productively. But it is also extremely dangerous. And as Charlie Munger used to say, there are 3 ways to take out a man: liquor, leverage, and ladies. So, but leverage is one of the trifecta that will ruin you. So people should be able to do it if they want, but it is unadvisable in my opinion.
Do you have a take on America's credit problem, since we're now over $1 trillion in credit card debt, household debt is increasing? We had a time during COVID where we were actually saving money, American households. Now that pendulum has swung the other way. Is there something that should happen that you feel like should incentivize spending? Is there something that we should restrict, or do you think it is just a free reign? You can get in leverage if you want, whatever they mean.
Here, you must deal with the world the way that it is, not the way that you wish it were. And the way that the world is, you must own assets. Stop saving your money in cash. At an absolute minimum, you're going to need treasuries or something that will, at a minimum, keep pace with inflation. If you do not do that, you are going to get eaten alive. This is why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, no matter what anybody is telling you about all the kleptocratic ways that they think Elon Musk is actually stealing your money. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the government spends more money than it intakes in taxes and therefore inflates the money supply. And by inflating the money supply, it makes your dollars worth less. Mm-hmm. Because your dollars are worth less, you must have a flight to safety, as they call it. And that flight to safety is assets. The problem is 50% of Americans, and of course, are at the bottom rung of the financial society, they don't own assets. So they are stolen from, and the money is never given back to them. Whereas asset holders, they are stolen from, but the money is given back to them. And because 50% of people don't own assets, the people that don't own assets, their money is stolen and given to somebody else. That is how the system works. It does not need to be any more complicated than that. If you steer according to that breakdown, you will be in a much better position. That's the truth.
Ipso facto.
Yup. Snap it out. Snap it out.
I'm just learning how to snap this last
What?
year, so it's
Really? So you took on the endeavor of, you know what I need to do? I need to be able to snap.
Sometimes I take
kind of
silly
respect it.
life goals to make myself feel better.
Yeah?
Like I just bought a pull-up bar.
Why is that silly? Muscle and VO2 max are the 2 leading indicators of longevity.
Because it's so funny because it was like overnight. Like it was a very impulsive goal.
I love this. Let's go.
I want to be able to do pull-ups.
Yes.
And I was like, let me just buy a pull-up bar.
Support.
Right. But I do stuff like that very randomly. Of like,
can I donate to your Patreon? Like, come on. Let's go. I'm here for this. I'm subscribed.
Thanks.
Smash that like and subscribe button.
I haven't built it yet. I got it just yesterday.
Okay, that's less interesting.
Well, all right.
So now, as your community, I want to heckle you and hold you accountable to the things you say. Yeah. If you could, which by the way, who hit the gym today?
I was last night.
Do I?
Hey, nights count.
I was last night. You got a pull-up bar now.
I said.
Let's go. Are you in the fitness challenge?
I was gone that when you guys
actually. Yes. Because now you have a pull-up chat. Now you have a pull-up goal. And by the end of the challenge, you want to do X amount of pull-ups.
I like it.
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
It's an individual challenge. There's no. It's not a weight thing.
Okay.
Everybody has their own goals.
Well, yes. I have my own.
Okay. June 1st is the date. By the way, chat, if you want to join us, please do. June 1st.
Okay. Yeah.
How many are you going to do?
5.
Okay.
Let's go.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
5.
I think that's very doable. I think you could probably get to 10 because you're very light. And so light people have a much easier time doing pull-ups. But we'll take 5.
I'll do 5.
5 pull-ups is real talk. If you can do pull-ups is a really good one for do you have the right muscle mass to body weight? It's a great exercise.
Yeah, you just wanted to rip through your shirt. You want to go full Hulk Hogan.
It isn't just that, but so my whole thing with working out is it is a huge predictor of longevity. Mm-hmm. So being strong feels awesome. Looking good also feels awesome. So for me, it's the 1-2 punch of being strong and looking good. So I wouldn't want to be strong and super fat. That's not interesting to me. But I also wouldn't want to be a bodybuilder. Like, have you seen the memes where this guy, I don't know who he is, He pretends to be cleaning up the gym, and he's not very big.
Yeah.
And he wears loose-fitting clothes, so you really can't see anything. And he'll go up to these bodybuilders that are gigantic. In fact, if we can pull up one of his clips, that'd be awesome. But he'll go up to these bodybuilders that are gigantic, and they're moving what looks like, I mean, in fairness, is a lot of weight. And he will go up and like move it with one hand. Yes, that guy right there. Dude, this is so awesome. Chat, you got to see this. You stop what you're doing unless it's driving and look at your screen. So this guy dressed as a cleaner goes up to these gigantic bodybuilders moving a lot of weight. And he's like, basically, let me, oh my God.
Excuse me?
Do you know how hard that is?
Yeesh.
This is awesome. So what he's showing is you can get very strong without having to get gigantic. And a lot of these guys don't focus on strength. They focus on size. And so you want some of both, right? I love this. Yeah, this guy's strong as hell. No two ways about it. But he doesn't look it. Not in his baggy clothes. I love that.
Crazy.
So anyway, for me, it's a 1-2 punch. It's got to be both.
Yeah, my goals are getting some chesticles for the summertime.
There it is.
You want to bounce him like Terry Crews?
Yes, I do.
Rightly so.
Probably
The first time you do it, you're like, this is dope. This is dope. I used to do it to my wife. I would just sit there and bounce him. She's like, yeah, stop immediately.
No.
But I think it's so cool. It's so cool.
So yes, hopefully everybody in the chat has their fitness goals. Again, there's no right answer. We got a Discord going. I know we have people on Twitch who are following along. They've been putting their update videos. Yeti Bandit sent me an upper chest workout as well.
Yeti, let's go.
A crazy upper chest workout that I'm working on as well. So again, guys, we just want to get healthier. We just want to do our own goals. This is just people to hold you accountable.
Let's have some fun.
Someone said, enters the chat, Drew groping his chesticles. All right.
It's a good time to enter. It's a good time to enter. I'm here for that. Tom is slowly losing his heart and soul.
Oh.
I don't understand that. Can you give me what is the specific thing that I'm saying that makes you think
that got to be a delay
that I'm losing? That's also possible. But I want to know like what the part is because I feel exactly the same. Though the one change I will say, when I decided, and this was over 10 years ago now, that I had to give up on adults, that one stung, even me. So if it was based on that, I would get it. But he sold that a long time ago. I think that's a typo, Ty, and you meant that I sold my soul. Again, needless to say, I disagree with that. But if you guys have specifics, I'm here for. Oh, I love this so much. Speaking of heart and soul.
NVIDIA just dropped a new robot that looks like CGI, but nope.
That looks fake. That looks
I thought it was a Star Wars character.
100%.
I thought it was like an early launch or something.
First of all, George Lucas should sue for trade infringement. Yeah. But this is incredible. And in fact, not even because this is more WALL-E than it is R2-D2.
Yeah.
But that thing literally looks like WALL-E. It is so cute. Oh God, I want one of these so bad.
Oh, okay. I don't mean to be that guy, but what does it do?
It's literally a toy. It is just cute.
Copy.
Now, I believe that they have full AI running in this, but I don't know that that's true. But I think he said it has 2 brains inside of it. And I don't know if one is for navigating and one is for interaction. That's a very good question. But this is absolutely
to your point,
amazing.
The no hands thing, I think is a cost thing. Because there's a lot of robots that I'm seeing now without hands. For sure.
Hands are, it is very hard to get actuators into the hands, first of all. And what at least Elon is saying is that there's a reason that the human robot, like a real human, all of the control of your hand is actually in your forearm. Mm-hmm. And so to get like if you want to know how do you strengthen your grip, you actually strengthen your forearm far more than your hand itself. So just getting all of that right from a robotics perspective is difficult. Now it's easy to get something that can crush. It's easy to get something that has very gentle grip. It's very difficult to get something that can do both. And so, yeah, I mean, I think very simply, this is a cost thing. And over time, you will see them get hands. There already are robots that have hands and can do things that are pretty dexterous for a robot. But like all of things in technology, they are going to advance so quickly, it's going to startle people for sure.
People are saying this is Disney robots. Mark Rober did a video on them. It is developed by Disney for their Star Wars areas in their parks. Look up.
That makes all the sense in the world. That makes all the sense in the world.
Thank you, chat.
Yes, indeed.
Introduce Blue, a Star Wars
cool is
droid,
that?
yeah, in partnership with DeepMind and Disney. So this is probably something that they're going to see walking around on the theme parks and stuff
man.
like that.
Let's go.
Oh, I can't wait.
I so wanted one for my house, though. Now I'm just sad.
How do you think the little angels would respond to it?
They'd bark at it for weeks, and then eventually they'd be like, okay, I get it. I know what it is.
So if we had to like rank order robots, your number one would be this one over the robot dog?
I don't know. I would go into so much research to figure out like what they can actually do. That one is by far the cutest. So from people come over to the house and I want to introduce them to my robot, that would be the one. But in terms of actually like doing something cool, something more humanoid is probably the play. I want something that can talk to me. So it has to have full AI. It has to have a voice. And it needs to have memory. Like those are the things that are going to matter to me. So I've talked about this endlessly, but you can create a custom GPT and you can imbue it with personality. Please do. It is so cool. I'm going to guess 20% of my workday is spent engaging with AI from I need it to do a thing, from a high utility output that I actually use in the business perspective. So knowing that robots are very rapidly going to get there, that I will have a relationship with it. It will have memory. We will have shared experience together. It will be doing a thing for me. It is really going to be exceptional. Now, you're probably still 5 to 7 years out from like, it's really like a thing that I love and this thing is incredible and it's a part of my life. But that's pretty close. Like we are, by the way, chat, if anybody here is in manufacturing, please do let me know. Very specifically, I'm trying to build a toy that I can put AI inside of. I don't need it to move, but I do need to be able to, for anybody watching, there are real life dogs, not attacking a robot, but certainly like going after it, trying to engage with it in a skeptical manner.
Okay.
It's pretty fascinating.
So these are the robot rankings. You have robot dog. You have the R2-D2.
Are you saying this is my ranking?
No, I'm giving you the three.
Oh, and 2 rank.
Yes.
Got it.
And then we have the baby pop lock robot.
So baby pop lock robot is probably the play right now because that's pretty cool. The backflip.
Okay.
But in terms of the one that I'll be watching the closest is the Disney one. If they make that available and it has full blown personality and it's literally just designed to squeeze my dopamine receptors, I would be, because I can ultimately get all the ones that I want. Yeah. I would probably start with that because the other ones have future cool factors that are far better because you want a robot that can actually do things for you. Yeah. So ultimately, a humanoid robot is probably the play that has general intelligence, that has hands, that I can be like, oh, go put the groceries away, go whatever. Like somebody said, walk the dogs. That would be incredible. I would not trust a robot to walk my dogs right now. They get run over. But in a world where it's like they can hear, see better than humans, all of that, and they know your job is to keep these fucking dogs safe, that would be awesome. So anyway, a humanoid robot's ultimately where you're going to end up.
Yeah, of course. Future
that
robots,
one makes me feel the most. The Disney robot made me feel the way I want to feel when I engage with a robot.
What's your pick, Eunice? Which one? If you had to pick between the 3.
Camera Fry says walk your own dogs.
Probably the Star Wars one.
The Star Wars one?
Yeah. I don't want a robot dog.
I
don't want anything that looks too humanoid because I'm afraid it might just watch me sleep or something, even though it doesn't really have eyes.
Have you seen Sunny?
Who?
There's a TV show on Apple Plus called Sunny. It got slept on. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but it deals in a world that I find so interesting, which is a woman's husband dies on a plane crash. It's a mystery, so mild spoilers because I didn't finish it, so I don't know what the punchline is. But
that's the Rashida Jones one.
Yeah.
Got it.
So he builds a robot that knows like a lot about her. And once he passes away, they give her the robot. And she is freaked out by this thing, like wants it out because she, I think at one point wakes up and the robot's just sitting there staring at her. And she's like super creeped out by it. But it honestly, our lives are going to be so infused with robots within the next 5 to 7 years. It's going to be crazy. Elon is talking a lot about this now. He just gave a talk, I think yesterday, to Tesla shareholders about the rate at which they're making the Optimus robot. I think he said they'll have 5,000 by the end of this year, I think is true. And then the next year, it, whatever 5Xs and just keeps growing after that. But yeah, robots are on their way. They are going to be a part of your daily life for sure within the next 10 years, for sure.
Samantha S. is trolling. She said, would you make the robot spank your kids too? Why not, right?
Of course,
Okay,
obviously.
okay.
Because now I can calibrate the level of impact
Yeah.
and get a report as to how hard the impact was.
Yeah,
See?
and,
Nice and easy.
and live brain receptors, like, hey, this is too much. I can only spank 2 more times before I emotionally.
Look at that.
All right, we got you.
Look at that. It's getting the data that your kid is kicking off from their devices. I'm here for it. I am here for it. I want a spanking robot. Now, I don't know who said that, but
They
Right.
want spanking for another reason.
Oh, I know. Don't think I don't, Eunice. I
Also,
like their
someone
style.
earlier said that Tom wants to just make Hatsune Miku real.
What is that?
Oh, Hatsune Miku?
Oh.
Boy, girl?
Sorry, that is not what I heard you say.
Oh,
Got it.
yes.
Do I?
Do you?
Probably not. I would go. I never really thought about it. I guess my default has always been that it will be a male robot. I don't know why. I literally never stopped to question why my image is always that of a male robot.
They're going to be lady robots way before.
There's lady robots now.
Well,
I know exactly what you're getting at, Eunice. And yes, you are
And
correct.
they're literally trying to open up a robot brothel in Las Vegas.
Already?
As we
hey,
speak.
Damn.
my hometown doesn't.
Your hometown does not play.
Yeah.
Does not
Represent Vegas.
Eric, if you don't mind, can you hit that super chat button for me?
Yeah. Super chat.
It's super chat time.
Let's go.
It's super chat time.
Yay.
That's the one we went with, huh? I gave him a whole bunch of options, chat.
Yeah, super chat.
All right, here we go. Let's do it.
Let us begin with Caffeine sending their very first Super Channel live stream. And that's all. It's just $9.99 Super Chat. No
Well, thank
comment,
you.
no nothing.
Appreciate that. It's very kind.
Shout out to you, Caffeine. Thank you.
Thank you, Caffeine. We're going to move on to Mika Cernkovich. Definitely butchering that, but thank you, Mika or Micah? Micah, probably. Micah. $10 said, I heard somewhere that the New York school system already spends nearly $60K per student, statewide average. Throwing more money at the problem is not the solution. The system needs to be redesigned.
Mika, you are correct. It has been proven over and over and over and over and over that money is not the solution here, for sure. It's crazy. I don't know. People just don't look at data. Yeah, it's crazy. Don't understand.
Joshua Giles said, you mentioned KPIs a lot and the need to have proper KPIs. Can you articulate your process of determining the most effective KPIs for any given problem?
Great question.
Yeah, so there is a Buddhist phrase that guides my thinking about KPIs that is, do not confuse the finger for the moon that it is pointing at. So KPIs are meant to say, this is the thing that if I influence, it will definitionally take me to the goal that I want. KPIs should be a thing that you control, that you either do or do not do. One of the mistakes that people make with KPIs is that they pick a KPI that they cannot control. So my KPI as to whether we're doing well in animation is whether we win an Academy Award. I can't control that. So you might make the greatest movie of all time and doesn't even get nominated. So that would be a bad KPI to select. Your KPI that is useful, let's take something like what we're doing here. So you guys have been a part of a lot of experiments as we run the Physics of Progress on the Tom Bilyeu Show. And the thing that we care most about is ultimately, there's really 2 things we care about. We care about views because that's awareness, and I can monetize that awareness in other ways. But ultimately, the moon is the money in order to continue to move the company forward. So companies are designed to create a product that adds value enough that it's a self-sustaining economic engine. So we're trying to grow revenue over time in a way, obviously, that we think adds the value to the world that we want to add. I could do things that didn't have the kind of impact that I want to have on the world, and I could have made a lot more money. So it is nested inside of a value system. That's very important to understand. But when we run an experiment, we will ask very simply, did we get more or less views? Now, we're looking at monetized views as that's important, but by way of simple KPI for the experiments that we do here on the Tom Bilyeu Show, did it yield more or less views? We look both at the individual episode and the channel as a whole, but we also, so that'll be the primary sentiment, but there are also leading indicators. So a leading indicator, which is not the final KPI that you want, the leading indicator might be something like sentiment. So for instance, the Tom Bilyeu Show has not driven channel views up, but has dramatically increased revenue. So let that one land. Why has it? Because the whole thesis behind building out the Tom Bilyeu Show was that people did not show up to my own channel for me. They showed up for the guest. That was one, making it harder and harder to get guests as more podcasts came online, but it was also making it harder to generate revenue, because when I bring an advertiser to you guys, people were like, I don't care. I don't know who this guy is. And so I don't care about the things that he's promoting. By switching it over and by saying, this is who I am, and you're here, love me or hate me, you're here for me, now our advertising revenue has gone up because people actually respond when we put an advertiser in front of you. So it's been hugely beneficial on that side. So great irony is overall channel views down significantly, overall revenue up significantly. Crazy. So anyway, those would be the KPIs. That you look in the sky, you see a bunch of stars, you have to turn them into a constellation. We think that the sentiment from the Tom Bilyeu Show has gone up dramatically in the community. So looking at that is a leading indicator. It's not the final thing. So if my channel were losing money and it got to the point where I'm not getting views, I'm not making money, but the 6 people that are here love me, that's not useful. And so you might want it to be a leading indicator, but ultimately that is the finger and not the moon itself.
Boom. We need a button for when you do that.
We really do. We really do. We didn't think about that one yesterday.
Boom button. That's a boom button.
But we'll add them.
We have a very
Wow. I don't know that that's the one, but I'm glad we have the button. I think we need an ipso facto or mic drop or period. But as if we were at a hockey match. I don't know about that.
Speaking of that, can we pop that one again, Eric, one more time for the... No, the because we have a very generous super chat here, $99.99.
Whoa,
that's a super chat.
That's a super chat.
Chat.
Hit that super chat button.
Thank you, Victor.
Yeah,
let's go.
Super chat.
That one gets a big yeah.
It's also
Victor,
their first
come on.
super chat on a live stream. Victor,
All right.
Thank you so much for doing this for us. Victor says, 27 years old, business's revenue shy of $1 million, unfortunately overstated visa at 17 years old. In love with this country since day one, English proficient, here's my home, but now really afraid of getting thrown in jail with real criminals.
Yeah, well, if you overstay your visa, are they going to arrest you? Is that like a temporary thing before you get deported? Because yes, I don't love that, man. And this is one of those where when you put a policy in place, no doubt there are going to be people that get swept up in it that you really wish wouldn't. But you have to have a policy. And at some point, the law has like a thing that we say, okay, you have a visa for this period of time, and if you stay over it by one day, then that becomes whatever. Now, to be honest, I don't know in the updated immigration policies what that actually means. So I don't know whether it means that you could be arrested for that. I don't know whether overstaying your visa means that you automatically get deported. I just don't know. But I certainly understand why you would be very anxious at this point. So the thing that I would do if I were in your situation is if I could afford a lawyer, I would certainly get a lawyer. Either way, I would certainly be communicating with every AI that I could get my hands on that had legal proficiency. It is shocking. I've talked about this before. We've driven down our legal costs by about 80% by using AI. It's one of the areas that's had the biggest impact on this company. So I highly encourage you to figure out exactly what the plan is, what you can do. And hey, from what I hear, AOC be giving out lessons on how to dodge ICE. So this is where that will come to your aid. So yeah, check it out. Figure it out, man. I get it.
Can we get that air horn one more time?
One more time for our boy Victor.
Let's go, Victor.
Congratulations.
That's a super chat.
On the $1 million in revenue, man. That's incredible. Let's go, man. I'm liking the soundboard. I'm here for this.
We do what we can, man.
I'm here for
the lives are getting better.
Chat, can I ask you guys? I want a thing that I have no data that proves that I should want. And because it's emotional, I continue to stop myself. But I want to turn this wall behind me into a nice big LED wall like the Mandalorian, where we can display anything and everything that we want. Now, it's going to cost what do we say, just under 200 grand. So this isn't cheap. I need a justification. So if you guys could please let me know if the entertainment value of sound effects and visual effects, if you think that that would make a better experience. And no trolling just to see me spend the money. So, but anyway, if I can become convinced that that would actually help the show, again, in the ways that we wanted to help exposure, revenue, I would do it.
Everybody's saying, just use green screen, bro. Yes.
That's not as cool. Guys, I'm trying to get your help
Yeah, someone's like,
justifying
cut it.
my emotional desire to have an LED wall. What's happening right now? So every time Lisa comes and is like, hey, we've got so-and-so guest coming. Could you have the video game and the comic books and stuff pulled up because we want to show them all the stuff that we're working on? I'm like, that's why we need the LED wall so they can walk in and they can just see. We can have a loop playing when we're not filming something, all the cool stuff that we're doing. But yeah, will it make money? Probably not. That's the bad news. And I'm just not excited about a green screen. Plus, that requires people, when they're editing the episode, to go in, and it makes the editing process longer. And we're trying everything we can. Poor G, who's in the background right now, editing as we speak. I don't want to make his life harder.
Straw Hat says,
all
wrong
part of
community to try to justify emotions.
Yeah, that's probably good. It's probably
Straw
good.
Hat used
Straw
it
Hat
against
holding
us.
me accountable. I like
Used
it.
against us. Well,
God bless you.
well,
God bless you, Straw Hat.
All right.
All right, on to the next. Christine Williams. Christine, thank you for the 10. Christine says, Tom, I don't always agree with the lenses you use to analyze things, but I appreciate that you explain your underlying assumptions and why you have them. More people need to do that when they opine.
Opine, yeah.
Opine.
Christine, thank you. I don't think it would be wise to agree with everything that I believe. I distrust myself. And I really, Drew is on camera and his employment, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But I really want to believe that Drew, in his heart of hearts, knows that I actually want people to tell me what they believe to be true. And we had a recent discussion where Drew, you'll hear me reference it a lot, and I'll do it often tongue in cheek, but I really mean it. So Drew has pointed out this thing that I do that I'll call journaling out loud, where I don't really know what my take is on something, and I'll start sort of waffling my way through it. His punchline is that's bad TV. I can't clip that out. It's not good. Maybe it works in a live and it's fine, but ultimately it just makes for a terrible episode. Please stop doing it. And because I was saying we need to run a clip strategy, and his punchline was, you're not good enough at clips. And I didn't get mad. I was grateful and expressed my gratitude because I know that it's hard to tell anybody that you don't think that they're good at something because you're worried about hurting their feelings, and it's very kind. And it's extremely hard to tell your boss that you think that they're bad at something because you not only might hurt their feelings, but you might get fired for it. So anyway, all of that to say, my entire worldview is that I assume I'm wrong about, I assume I'm wrong about a percentage of things, but that I am the least likely person to know which percentage of things I'm wrong about. So I need people in the community or elsewhere to be like, I think you're wrong about that thing. That's why I am not in the slightest bothered by people who think that I'm stupid. It's just way more useful if they can tell me in what way I'm stupid so that I can get smarter. Remember, I don't value myself for being right. I value myself for identifying the right answer, meaning it has high utility in the real world, where by believing that and adopting that new belief, I can actually achieve the things that I want to achieve. So anyway, thank you. I'm glad that you don't always agree with me. And I hope that you will push back and do the same thing I do, which is articulate the underlying beliefs and values that drive you to that conclusion, so that if I wanted to adopt the level of thinking, I wouldn't have to do it at the level of output. I could do it at the level of the code, if you will, of what's driving that decision-making.
Lyrith with the $20.
Lyrith.
Super chat.
Always count on Lyrith, man. Lyrith,
Lyrith says,
amazing part of the
is
Super
community.
chat.
engagement.
Let's go.
Lyrith says, sentiment is engagement, which is up, and that will drive up over time. Oh, and my...
Drive up over time your views. Like and sub, everyone. Tom, Drew, y'all at IT are the best.
At engagement.
Oh, thank you. I was like, at engagement? At engagement, like I never thought. I like it, love it, and I'm here for it. Let's go. Thank you, Lyrith. You have become such a foundational element of this community. You were here all the time. Your super chats do not go unnoticed, man. Thank you for supporting what we're doing. Really, really, really appreciate it.
You're the man, Lyrith. Also, would love your comments about the education thing in the chat. I'll read them because I know you have some babies at home, so let me know what you think about that. Chime into that. All our parents in the chat too. We had a great education conversation earlier. Tell us your education system, your parenting situation. Curious how your guys' thoughts. Sorry, super chat.
Brutus Lugo says funding can still be the issue for education. Just because we spent this much doesn't mean the money was used to its best.
That's a great point. There's no doubt that it is entirely likely that money effectively spent, I mean, definitionally, money effectively spent will have an output because this is how you get humans to do things. And so if you want to attract the best and the brightest, if you want more people, however, there are some problems that simply cannot be solved with money. So there's going to be an upper bound to that. It's not like you can just keep throwing money at the problem ad infinitum and it will always get better. There will be a point of diminishing returns. You'll see this in marketing where it's like, oh my God, this thing is working so well. Whenever we spend money on that, we grow. And then you try to just keep pouring money into it. And you find that at a point, that ratio of dollars spent to the return that you get breaks. So there will be an upper limit. And your point is well taken that we may not have reached that upper limit. It's just that we're spending money so poorly that we'd never know. So I would just say, given that we've tried to throw more money at the problem and it has not worked over 45 years, I think we can now quite officially say that with our current level of analysis, structure, et cetera, money is not going to be the thing. So let's focus on something else.
The Real Army Sniper, thank you for your $4.99. They
Indeed.
said 11 million employees in the DOE and 6.5 million of those employees are administrators, not teachers. Change is a must. Crying is optional.
I agree. The Real Army Sniper, you are correct. Love it. Thank you for paying money to say a very true and awesome thing.
They have another one, another super chat for $4.99 that says, let people do dumb things. LOL. Horrible take, Drew. What happened to discipline, responsibility, and accountability?
I can't tell if he's joking or not. You've got to let people do dumb things. Because who's going to decide what's dumb and what's not? That's the problem. So yeah, he might be kidding. I can't tell.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I live a disciplined, responsible, accountable life. But if people want to go into debt over burritos, I just think this burrito thing is going to spin out. There's some college student right now like, oh, I could pay in for it? Yeah. And they're going to keep paying in for it. They're going to keep paying in for it. And then they're going to break their leg. They're going to get a flat tire. Something's going to happen that's going to throw off. And then they're going to hit with that 30% interest over their last $500 of burritos. And then all of a sudden, they're now in debt.
I would rather they learn that on $500 of burritos than learn that on $80,000 on a car or a house. I had a friend in college take out $80,000 in debt. And I was like, what the fuck? And I had taken out $900 in debt because not coming from a family with money, that was the credit limit that I could get. And I was confused. And I thought that credit was free money. I thought, wait a second, you'll give me $900 and I just have to keep making the $15 minimum payment? I was like, yeah, I'm here for that. And then all of a sudden my $900 was $1,000. And I was like, wait, I didn't spend any more money. What's happening? And then it was $1,100. And I was like, whoa. This is not free money. I've been lied to. And so thankfully I learned that on $900. And that lesson has stayed with me even now. This is a big part of why I don't do things on credit, even though I could now. Like when we bought this house, we paid all cash and the bank was like, you're out of your mind. Money is essentially free. Why don't you take out a loan? And listen, I get it. Like I could have used that leverage. I could have put the money in the stock market and all that stuff. But I just thought I'm just going to sleep better knowing I don't owe a dime on this house. And given my temperament and my willingness to pay attention to the stock market and all this stuff, I was just like, nope, not here for it. So, with full acknowledgement of how many people use the system to get us as close to free money as you're ever going to get, putting it in the stock market and earning a gain, I don't want to. Not my thing. Don't like that.
Esoteric Dichotomy has 2 super chats for us.
Let's go. Esoteric Dichotomy, another pillar of this community.
Yeah. Super chat.
Yeah.
They said, hey, Tom, checking in if you still have chairman of Ayn Rand Institute, Yaron Brook, on the list of people to look into. Would be cool to see you two talk.
Drew has not brought them up. So whether they're on the list of people, that I don't know. Ultimately, Drew is the one that you want to harangue, as Drew is incentivized to grow the channel. And so presumably anything he thinks will actually grow the channel, he will bring to me. but that is not somebody he has put before me.
I'm on it, esoteric. I'm on it. I'm looking into him.
There we go. You got to the right person.
And their second super chat says, schools need to compete. Make all schools private and fund students. No Fed state funding for the schools at all. Same with university. No government loans.
I'd have to think about no government loans. I haven't thought through that. I won't journal out loud. So thank you.
We've got James Kim saying, you said it earlier. People should be allowed to fail when it comes to debt.
You have to let people fail when it comes to debt. Otherwise, you get bubbles. You have to let markets fail. You have to let banks fail. Now you can't just do it overnight because that would just take down the whole system. But you need to start weaning the economy off of all this stuff because it is deranging. It's deranging. And that makes me sad. And I get just as scared as anybody. And when Silicon Valley Bank went down and we had some exposure through some weird oblique angle, I was like, okay, we got to get out of this. And I was moving as fast as I could to get my money into a safer place. So I get it. I am perfectly willing to be held accountable for the policies that I advocate for. And if they end up biting me in the ass, it is what it is. So yeah, it's like, when people are laughing at somebody wearing Barbosa, I forget his first name, comedian, he did a whole skit on people getting arrested wearing ICE shirts by ICE, like they're being deported. He does this whole thing about they're basically dressing in disguise, trying to be like, come on, bro, like I'm part of your team. What do you mean? I'm not the one to look at. But my thing is, listen, if you're making policies that you think are good for the country overall, that should be the thing that is most protective of you. So even dear rich people, it's like if you have policies that are going to continue to drive the wealthy wealthier and the poor poorer, they will come for you at some point. So even just from a self-preservation standpoint, you should want to do things that are good for the average American. And so if that means that it actually ends up on paper or in the public consciousness being bad for me, I would still go for it. So long-term protectionism of my own, because I do want things to be good for me. Let there be no mistake, but I want it to be good for me long-term, not just in the short term. So whatever happens, happens. As long as it is good in general, good idea.
Micah Cernkovich, again.
Micah Cernkovich.
I'm sorry for butchering your name. Says they're introducing cute robots to desensitize/normalize us to them. It's only a matter of time before we have robotic law enforcement. Terrifying. I
am with you up until the final word, terrifying. So I'm going to plant a flag and we can play this clip in the future. People are going to come after me for two things: not having kids and being pro integrating with technology. Guaranteed. How many years? Is it 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. But that is gaining steam already and will continue to gain steam for sure. So you heard it here first, boys and girls.
Mateus Hoghom.
Let's go, Mateus.
Mateus says, why do Europeans and Americans view government so differently? My Norwegian friends see it as a savior. Americans see it as the potential villain. Yeah, because... actually, I'm going to journal a little bit here so I don't give just a flippant answer. In fact, I'll do one for you and then one for me. So
Go for it.
I need to train myself to do this. Okay, so the reason that the Europeans see it as a savior is they understand that it really does work up to a degree. And so they're saying, hey, while we're coasting, this actually feels really good. And from an empathy perspective, it is good. You're making sure that fewer people get left behind. And so as the people that actually lived through a tale of two cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, meaning it was great for rich people and terrible for poor people, Oliver Twist, all of that. They're an older civilization and they just saw what that looks like. And so they're like, we just have to have rules and regulations. We have to take care of people. I think that they misread the data, but nonetheless, that's what they look at. That's what they see. Okay, now journaling out loud. I think that it is going to be more sophisticated than that. Geography plays a big difference, and I have a feeling that you're also going to see that these are the most warmongering, vicious people, not that the world has ever seen, because that I'm going to hand to Genghis Khan or Vlad the Impaler, but Vlad actually was in Eastern Europe, so even that. But anyway, the Europeans have warred against each other for so long. You're also seeing, I think, some echoes of the fatigue of World War I and World War II, where it's like, oh my God, all this like fighting and killing, it's just, this is trash. I don't want to keep doing this. And so they're in taking care of mode. They're in that level. Like if you've ever seen two fighters that fucking hate each other in the UFC and they beat each other near to death, and then even though, and talk shit on each other, I mean, just in the most heinous possible ways before the fight. And then after the fight, they're hugging it out. That's where we're at in Europe. So there is just a fatigue of all the fighting. Now you're starting to see that wear off because the generations are beginning to lose sight of that, which is just the way the human psyche works. But it does echo through culture for a lot longer than you would think. So I think we're getting to the end of that, which is why you see Brexit. You're going to start seeing a more swing to the right. But that's my journaling out loud. I think that it will get, the real answer is more nuanced than the hot take that I gave you up top. But I have to get good at being very direct. Word.
Cameron Fry with the $10. Cameron Fry saying, Norwegian countries are more homogenous and much smaller compared to how well your city or small state might operate. People are way more okay with their state government than federal.
Yeah, that's another part of this, the homogeneity of some of these societies, but you're starting to see that break apart. We will see what happens. It is going to be very interesting to watch Europe over the next decade. The amount of immigrants that they have let in that are not interested in assimilating culturally, and we are going to find out whether you can have a multicultural society. You can for sure have a multi-ethnic society, but can you have a multicultural society? I have a feeling the answer is no.
There are more people in Los Angeles County, 9 million, than there are in the entire country of Norway, 5.5 million. So
yeah, and like prior to say, I don't know, 15 years ago, it was just white. So now there was no visual teams. There was no pulling in different directions culturally. Again, multi-ethnic to me doesn't matter. I love it the most, but I grew up in America, so I've been around it my entire life. But that I love. What I don't love is multicultural. That is Battletown. That's battle at the level of values. It's bad enough when you have left versus right. When you start having people pulling in 1,000 different directions, it becomes very problematic. People will kill for their values. Let's remember that. So why, Tom, do you not like multicultural? Because people will kill for their values. So I don't want a whole bunch of people prepared to kill in opposite directions. I would much rather we all kill in the same direction. Humans gonna human. Humans gonna human. And a big part of humaning is killing the other. Boy, do I wish that wasn't true.
On a more positive note, Christine with the 15 just now.
Let's go, Christine Williams in the
welcome
house.
back to another super chat.
Come on, Christine.
Thank you, Christine. Christine says, love the journaling out loud. I wish I had Victor's budget. Smiley face.
What's happening?
Because Victor gave us the...
Oh, for the 99.
Correct.
Got it.
Good give round of applause for Christine. You gave
Let's
super
go.
chats. You gave super chats. Thank you.
Indeed, Christine, thank you.
Thank you. It's not about the budget.
Appreciate that.
It's about the intention.
Christine, I really wish. So here's what we're finding in the numbers. The people who show up for the live, which are unfortunately a very small percentage of our overall viewers, they may like, some percentage of them may enjoy the journaling out loud, but the greater YouTube public fucking hates it.
And that's the...
There it is. I'm trying to give Drew nice and definitive ends. Period.
Nathaniel Keck with their first super chat on a live stream.
Let's go, Nathaniel. Come on, meow.
I love that profile pic too. That's cool.
Nathaniel says, Tom, have you ever looked into technocracy at all? The current administration looks to be using that movement as a framework to move government and society. Oh, sorry, to manage government.
So I certainly get the idea of what a technocracy would be. I think the reality is that life is always and forever, literally from the advent of fire, about technology. Technology is a promise of a better future. People are always going to embrace technology. Not universally. Read Neon Future. You will get my take on this. But for the most part, you can count on people embracing technology with everything that they have. because it makes things better, I do want to see the government embrace technology. I think that things would be much better. The fact that we're discovering that the government has been promising for over 30 years to update the computer systems and haven't, for reasons that are very knowable. If people want to talk more about it, certainly ask and I will give you details. But that is pretty crazy to me. So I want to see us get updated because it will make life better. That just is true.
Miguel Steak and Chains, thank you for $4.99.
Let's go,
Miguel says, what happens when people's failing costs the rest of us real money? People hate lawyers and insurance, but is that a direct result of people failing?
Well, it depends on where they're failing. So where it hurts all of us is where the government socializes the losses. So this is why people hate the fact that the government goes in and bails out the economy. Because when you bail out the economy, Drew, guess who you bail out? That's right, Drew. Asset holders. Hey, how did the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? You bail out asset holders. Guess who Tom is? Tom's an asset holder. And Tom, the very guy that gets the bailout, is telling you this is a bad fucking idea. Why is it a bad idea, boys and girls? You ask. Well, I'm glad you asked, because that's how the poor get poorer, and the poor will come for your head. Plus, it sucks. That's ass. I don't want a deflated ball. I want to know what the rules of the game are, and I will play based on the rules. And if I can win in a fair game, I can feel good about that. And if I have to rig the game to win, I, as one person, do not feel good about that. I don't want to win in a rigged game. I want to win on a fair playing field. Plus, as somebody who understands I cannot come up with all the good ideas, nor can I make all the good things, and I want to live in a world with all the good things, I want to see people create an environment where a kid from nowhere can come up and do rad shit. I do not want only the wealthy to succeed. That is hideous. I love the way that it felt as a kid from Tacoma, Washington, feeling like I was growing up in the sticks. I remember being in my friend's backyard and dreaming of the day that I was going to be rich. And as I looked around me, what I saw was hay, a pig barn. I did not see Park Avenue or the Manhattan skyline. I saw a pig barn. Okay, imagine me there playing around, and you can smell the mixture of mud and animal feces. And you're dreaming, one day I'm going to be rich. That felt so real and so awesome. And I want that for every kid, no matter where they grow up. So you got to stop socializing the losses. You got to let people crash and burn and learn. Also, they will be more cautious. So yeah, period.
Lyrith with another 10 saying,
Lyrith,
strong disagree that the wider YouTube audience hates the out loud journalistic engagement. Asmongold exemplifies otherwise, as do many others. Come and see.
Oh my God.
You are just not on the mound yet.
Oh my God. Okay. Lyrith, I'm so glad you brought this up. Literally, the big argument that I got into with Lisa and Drew, as they told me, stop fucking, they didn't say journaling out loud, but that's what they were saying. I said, this experiment is codenamed the Asmongold test, because I agree with you. But for whatever reason, when I do it, and I hear you, you think I just haven't been doing it long enough or whatever. We have run multiple tests on this. And remember, I've been on YouTube for 10 years, almost. So Drew and Lisa have the data in their corner. For whatever reason, when I do it, it doesn't work. I agree with you that Asmongold does it. I agree with you that Asmongold's amazing. That kid, I would love to get him on the show. Fantastic. First of all, he's a gamer. I'm a gamer. Love it the most. And also, there is something so fascinating about his personality. Can we say, is he sprinkled with autism? Like, is anybody going to give me that? It's not a lot, but it's like a little, like just like the Salt Bay. He's like Autism Bay. And he's got just enough. Oh, God, watching him is very fun. So I am very impressed with Asmongold. But as of today, the data says that there's something in his presentation that people enjoy, and in my presentation that they do not. Data speaks for itself. Now, we will see over time, mayhap, I don't know, but run the thought experiment going backwards. And if you look backwards across my 9+ years on YouTube, it hasn't worked.
Ribsy over on Twitch says, Asmongold interacts with Twitch more. It's probably that.
Maybe. I love that. Great hypothesis.
Okay. I feel like we're exposed.
Although I will say, hold on.
Laundry.
No, I love dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Air it. But I will say that, and then I will, because I assume you're going to defend yourself, which I don't think there's anything. You were right. Anyway, going back to when I started live streaming, it was nonstop engagement with Twitch. So it was on Twitch, nonstop engagement, and we did not grow. Now, we're doing things wrong. I'm fully aware of that. My wife and I were actually arguing about this again this morning. Anyway, Drew, hi. You had something to say.
To the engagement part of if he just engages with audio chat more, that can then grow it. I think the thing that we're looking at people's highlights and we're comparing them to our practice run. So what Asmongold does really well, that I love him, great content creator. He streams 5 to 7 hours.
Yep.
And then he releases 45 minutes, an hour. The longest video I think on YouTube that he's released has been like an hour and 10 minutes. So out of 7 hours, you cut into a tight hour and a half, 58 minutes. You can then do all the highlights and you're not getting all the ums, the pauses, the fractals, things like that. What we're finding is that when we go these 3 hours, we'll have a solid 5 minutes on something. We'll have a 10-minute fractal. Then we'll talk to the chat a little bit. And then we'll spend 5 minutes getting back. Putting that together, it becomes like a colluded 10 minutes. So now we're trying to organize a little bit better. And to your point, once we started to approach these lives like a show with an agenda, kind of starting with something versus, hey, chat, what's in the news today? The engagement came, people stayed on for longer, things like that. You are a KPI, physics of process person.
Progress.
So, yeah, we're not just shooting in the wind.
Not under the breath.
So, yeah.
Let Drew cook, man. I think he's got a good read. Certainly with my personality, I think Drew is actually right. Drew has convinced me that what we're doing now is better, that I need to get better at giving concrete takes, landing the plane, as he says. Because what he was pointing out is, Tom, you will start on something, you will get distracted, and you will never come back and close the loop. So even if I was going to cut out the middle bit where you were waffling, you never gave me a fucking ending. So exactly how do you want me to make that make sense for you? And sorry, Chad, I work way too hard for these arms for a slightly too long shirt to cover up that work. So
That's
there
so
it is.
crazy.
That's why how dare, I'm literally looking at my arm over on the monitor. I just did myself
tell
all
while
kinds
you
of
were-
favors.
yeah.
You gotta do a quick push-up. You gotta do a quick pump.
How dare you insinuate that is anything but smart? If I was that worried about it, like when we shoot ads, I will occasionally go into the gym real fast, get a pump, and be like, "What? This old shirt? What do you mean?" Yeah.
But
I'm
keep the
not
feedback
about that.
going, community. We love your feedback. It's interactive. It takes
It's
two to
also
tango, so.
more impactful than you realize. So this is a two-way street. Indeed.
All right, moving on.
I'm sorry. Lab experiment said wife beater with a glove next time.
Dude, listen. If I were, call it 9% body fat, wife beater's a good look. I look good in wife beaters, like really good. But alas.
All right, sorry. Okay, super chats. And we got
We're not there
we
yet.
got old
We're not
ones we
there.
got to get to. We got
I'm
last
probably
super
like
chat.
12,
We have a
13.
bunch of
Super
super chats we have to
chats.
get to, including the ones from the last live
Yes.
stream.
Yes.
So let
Keep
us
going.
continue with Brutus Lugo. How do you define ethnicity without culture? Look up the definition, please.
Yeah, look it up. Drew, you gonna pull that up?
Yep.
So let's say that I'm off on the by the letter definition. What I mean is, growing up in Tacoma, one of my best friends was Charlie Lee. His family was from Korea, like with accents, Korea. But Charlie was a kid from Tacoma. And so the vibe of hanging out with Charlie was I'm hanging out with an American kid from Tacoma. That's what I mean. So yes, there's no doubt that his parents were from a different culture. He was obviously a different ethnicity, but his parents wanted him to be maximally American. So they gave him the name. I mean, he, like most kids from Korea, he has a Korean name, but they also gave him an American name. He registered at school with the American name. He introduced himself with the American name. That's somebody that wanted to assimilate. That's somebody whose parents wanted him to assimilate. When you bring a bunch of people into your country that don't want to assimilate, they don't want to embrace whatever culture. Like if I moved to Japan and had kids in Japan, I would expect my kids to embrace Japanese culture. Otherwise, why am I there? So yeah, that's my read, that you want a cohesive culture. You don't want people tearing themselves apart at the seams. That's how you have it, even if it violates the letter of ethnicity versus culture. And shout out to Charlie Lee, by the way, who I've not seen or spoken to since I was 18 years old. I hope you're well.
Jason Happy with the $4.99. Thank you, Jason. Says, can impact theory...
I thought you said Jay isn't happy. And I was like, uh-oh, what's going on?
Jason Happy.
Jason Happy. What's up, brother? Thank you.
Can impact theory add a stock pick segment, speculation segment?
What does that mean? Oh. I was thinking stock pick as in stock photos. PIC versus PICK. Got it. I don't think I'm your guy for that. So we could cover the stock market. Like, I cover the economy, which is very different than the stock market. I don't think that I'm the guy that you want commenting on that. I just don't follow it closely enough. I don't find it very interesting. I'm a set and forget guy.
And you're not a meme coin guy. You're a Bitcoin only guy. So
correct. Yeah. I, again, think meme coins should be as legal as the day is long. Let people spend their money however they want. But I am not intrigued, engaged with, interested in meme coins at all. In fact, can we talk about what's going on with Pokemon? I don't know if this is recent or it just came across my feed. Maybe it's years old, but people like racing and fighting over getting like boxes of these things.
The TCG game card.
Yeah. And if that were people that wanted to own them, that would make me so excited. Like, I remember I used to mow my lawn so that I could go buy my Garbage Pail Kid cards. And that was my first introduction to, like, you could buy, I forget the Vampire Nick, like Necking Nick or something like that. And like, it was like $5, which back in the 80s, a lot of money. And I thought that was so cool. I can mow the lawn and then I can go get this card. I still own those Garbage Pail Kids cards. I won't say never, but it is rare that I buy something because I think one day I'll be able to sell it for more. I like to collect. This is how NFTs caught me so off guard. I thought that my behavior was universal. And I had not yet gotten into investing, all of that stuff. And so I didn't understand that most people are not like me and what they like is to gamble. I thought people like to collect. People don't like to collect. That makes me really sad. Like, as a collector, I've literally thousands of comic books, hundreds of volumes of manga. At one point, hundreds, maybe more than 1,000 Blu-rays. And I liked the having of them, not the like, oh, I can sell these. So yeah, that just makes me sad. I am sad that that thing that I so love is really niche in a way. Most people just want to make money off of it.
Yep.
Oh, well, deal with the world the way that it is, not the way that you wish it were. There it is.
Moondog with the $2. Moondog says, education is digitized, so socialization remains human.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm here for that.
Okay.
I think people are going to start socializing with AI. If I have anything to do with it, they certainly will. Not to the exclusion of humans.
Yeah.
I need to find a way to articulate better the thing that I feel. I'm going to say a statement. Chat, if you would, give me feedback on this. When I work on AI to tell specifically two stories, Project Kaizen and Coyotes of the Air Gap, which are set in the same universe, that feels like if you ever put on a song that makes you feel really good, and you're like, man, I just love this song. I need to pick me up. I'm going to put the song on. I realized that you can use music in the way that you can use a drug, a minor drug, but a drug nonetheless, that it pretty instantly changes your neurochemistry. It changes your mood. You feel better, feel more energized. I can use AI in a creative fashion in that same way. So for me, it is very positive. Now, I understand that people have a negative feeling about it, but I feel when people are negative about AI, I feel the way somebody would feel if people were negative about the fact that music exists. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just like, whoa, like you guys are not having the same experience that I'm having with it. Like if I had a dog or that little cute robot and I could talk to it about the story world that I'm trying to create, and the cutest thing in my life is giving me all this really cool feedback and giving me all these ideas, because I'm a human who is hardwired to respond to embodiment, that something is physical, real in my world. And that thing now is helping me build something and triggering like all these like cute cues and all that. Like that is awesome to me. And I just don't have any negative interactions with it. Also, I don't have an addictive personality, so I'm not a guy that gets addicted to my phone or anything like that. I literally wouldn't give a shit. If somebody was like, you can't have your phone for a week, I'd be like, okay. Like it just, there's no trauma for me around that kind of stuff. For those reasons, AI is very powerful for me. It's educated me. It's taught me. I want to have a relationship with it, all of that. We'll see. I would love your guys' feedback on that. If people are just like, you sound like a sociopath, then at least I know what the world's going to hear, because I really do have growing concern that I am putting myself out into the world in a way that 5 years from now, people are, and I mean this literally, violently opposed to.
All right.
So we'll see.
Also, I
what Chad has
appreciate
to say.
Moondog, that your picture is actually a dog.
Hey,
Thank you.
truth in advertising. Although there's no moon. So, you know what I mean? Just saying.
Moondog also has a second super chat that says burpees. The benefits of spanking, sans.
Ooh, that's interesting. I'm here for that.
Make your kids do burpees.
Yeah. Cool. If it works, I don't know. I don't know that it would have worked on me. Don't know. But I'm here for it if it works. Minimum required force.
A super chat.
Let's
From
go.
John-
Super chat.
From John Cragness. It says, Tom, time to kindness. Be kind 5 minutes versus kind 50 years.
Help.
John, if you could.
Can we get that kid from the wasabi meme turned into a sound? Because there are super chats that I don't understand,
Oh, the
and I
one
would
that's
really
crying
like to
about
press
why
that
would
button.
Help.
Because she help.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I need help on that one. I don't understand. Can
John,
somebody please?
Please comment if you're still here, John. Please help us. We have a super chat from Avon Etter saying, I watch because you journal out loud.
All right. Okay. So we have a vocal minority that is going to bat for the journaling out loud. We will see. So keep in mind, chat, we did run the experiment, much to our editor's absolute shock, horror, and dismay, of what does it look like if we just run a 3-hour episode and then edit it down. That tanked. Then we ran another experiment that our editor loved. That was just leave the 3-hour episode up as is. That tanked. So far, the only thing that we've done that works is Tom goes live for 3 hours. We hang out, we chat, we journal out loud, and then we erase that fucking video from the face of the earth and launch an hour, a tight hour, where Drew asks me questions and makes sure that I feel an extreme time pressure to answer the questions. And those work. So again, data is saying what the data is saying. But look, if we keep going and on a long enough timeline, the live grows and grows and grows. But the lives aren't growing. The lives have hit a level. It's a great level. It's over 1,000. Love it. You guys are amazing. But we're not growing. So the lives are holding steady. The only thing that we have shown that we can grow is the tight 1 hour. Now, still early days, all of that we will see. But again, I try not to scream into the void and argue with reality. It may just be such that, given the nature of my personality, maybe I have too much autism, maybe I don't have enough autism, I don't know. It just doesn't, that particular thing doesn't land. Now, that does not bother me emotionally. To me, it just is what it is. Physics of progress. So we'll see. But hey, keep the info coming. It does help. But if you track the number of people that show up concurrently to the live, it's basically been steady since we launched. Tell your friends, boys and girls. Tell your friends.
Don't forget to smash that subscribe.
Smash it. Smash it.
Jason Godo sent their very first super chat on live stream.
What's up, Jason?
Thank you for just the $1.99 super chat.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you for
Thank you,
being
Jason.
here.
Very generous.
Appreciate it. Lyrith has two
Back.
super chats back to back here. Lyrith says, if I were to wager, I'd bet people are more violently opposed to suppression or oppression of free speech / expression, that they are against the AI revolution. Also, your sample size for your experiment. Sample size is much too small to have anything close to accurate or tenable results with regard to the live stream engagement experiment.
I don't agree with that. And this is where people will say, let's say we drop a video and it's only been out for 45 minutes. And I'll say, how many people watched it? And I'll routinely get the feedback. Tom, it's too early. No matter what answer I give you, it's too early. You never know. And I say, we've released 1,000 episodes. And there are patterns that arise around any 90 seconds after you launch. There's going to be a pattern. And so while I agree that it's only a leading indicator and it is not the final analysis and you could still be surprised, there are patterns. There are averages for a reason. So I think we have enough data now to say we have a rough idea. Now, you don't ever set an idea in stone. So you have strong convictions loosely held. So if I start seeing data that disproves me, then I'm going to move in the new direction. I love it. And I love that you guys are giving me feedback and things to think about and all that stuff. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So anyway, that stuff will bear out in the data. The first part, that people are more violently opposed to suppression, oppression. I hope so, but I do not see evidence of that. I think that people have a way stronger emotional reaction to AI, or I believe that they will have a stronger emotional reaction to AI as it becomes embodied. When you start seeing, ooh, hey, I lost my job due to a recession that I blame Trump for, maybe rightly, but I lost my job due to a recession that I blame Trump for, and now I can't find a new job because my job was replaced by a robot, people are gonna go nuts. So yeah, that is my take. This has been on my mind for well over 5 years. Again, I wrote a comic book about it. You can check it out. If I were writing it today, it would be slightly different. I'd focus more on AI and not just the integration with technology. But nonetheless, I think that people are already showing an aversion towards it. And I think that that's going to escalate. Lord knows I hope I'm wrong. But I don't think I am.
Lyrith
Time will tell.
very quickly followed up with another $10 super chat. Thank you, Lyrith. Lyrith says, I am pushing for optimism here, Tom. Throw me a bone. Ha ha ha. Love IT, love y'all. I'm telling you it resonates. It will grow. This takes time. Go hard. You are. Keep it up.
Thank you, Lyrith. You are overly generous, and I really want to take a second to acknowledge your perpetual kindness and generosity in this feed. I am truly grateful. Thank you, man. To everybody that participates in Super Chat, thank you. It means a lot. It certainly is a very strong signal that you guys like what we're doing here, or at least have a strong reaction, because I know some people are going to, although it's really rare, you guys rarely pay money to say that you think I'm dumb. It does happen, but that is,
one dude who called you a cuck.
Exceedingly generous. Yes. Yeah, look, and again, all the aggression, I'm here for it. Just please, if you can, like, give me some specific way for me to get better. That'd be a lot more helpful. But Lyrith, for real. Thank you. I appreciate it. And from an optimism standpoint, I think about this a lot. Like, by nature, I am very optimistic, but I have grown a visceral aversion to empty platitudes. And even I think, and I am now journaling out loud, even I think I need to turn inward and reflect on why that thing that I used to love so much, which is just raw empowerment. Like, go back and watch my impact quotes. I could still do those right now today. I could do one this instant. Very performative in a way that I enjoyed. Very pure optimism to the point of almost being saccharine. But when I come across somebody else doing that now, I feel icky. And the reason I feel icky is I have fought in the real world to help make people's lives better, only to find that most people want spiritual entertainment and it doesn't change their life at all. And if I am on my deathbed and I feel like I was a spiritual entertainer, I will be mortified to my core. And this is coming from somebody who I just want to entertain, but via good ideas. So even I sketch out, when I explain it from a pure empowerment, empty optimism perspective, it makes me feel gross. But when I think about the content that I want to make for kids, it would be like way more on the just raw optimistic side. So I don't know. I have to resolve that in my own mind, but I can assure you I will not be going back to low utility empowerment. I seek high utility empowerment, which is why I'm focused on kids. All right, red light.
We have a $49.99.
That's an air horn.
Yeah.
That's an air horn.
Damn.
Super chat.
Verse, let's go.
Thank you.
Verse
Super chat.
inspired.
Yeah, super chat.
For your first super chat on a live stream. Thank you, Verse.
Thank you, Verse.
Verse
Exceedingly
says,
generous.
Tom, your fractal conceptualization of reality maps to higher dimensional geometry via moral geodesics. Here's the core idea. Hyperspherical true north, the proverbial straight and narrow path as hyperspherical true south. Dark tetrad psychology.
Help. I'm not smart enough for that super chat.
Can you press the fractal button?
Don't.
Because we have one.
Fractal.
Okay, that's good. We got to do the help one. We got to get that little girl, please. I beg of you. Verse, you are operating at an intellectual level that I am unable to keep up with. I would have to look up basically every word in this post. Moral geodesics, I have no idea what that is. Hyperspherical true north, I have no idea what that is. The proverbial straight and narrow, at least that part I know. Hyperspherical true south, I don't know. I know what dark tetrad psychology is, but I don't know how to string it together with all of those words. I am letting you down in the most crash and burny way, Verse, and my deepest apologies to meet your extreme generosity with just a void of understanding. My apologies. So we'll give that a second to sit on everybody's life here that can hopefully interpret that far better.
And this is why we love AI. I threw it into Gemini and it said, basically, they're saying your way of thinking about the world allows you to see how extreme goodness and extreme badness exist at opposite points in a much more complex moral space than we usually consider.
Damn, AI for the win.
I hope that
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Drew.
let me know.
Verse, if that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. That
Imagine
is
if Verse
very
like,
kind.
No.
Yeah, he's like,
No.
Well, actually,
bitch, please.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Verse, thank you, man. If that's what you meant, that is, that's amazing. That does feel true to me. Word. Much
We
appreciated.
have a super chat from Stephanie Lynn Birnbaum. No
Oh, Stephanie
comment
Lynn.
or anything attached. Just $9.99.
Stephanie showing some love.
Super chat.
Thank
you,
you.
Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
We have some biddies over.
Let's go, biddies.
Let's go, Twitch.
Twizatch in the
over
house.
on Twitch from Straw Hat. Straw
We
Hat
love
says,
Straw Hat.
"Have you seen the Sky Reels AI text to film AI?" And I put the link in the.
Oh, let's check it out immediately. I'm obsessed.
Thank you, Straw Hat.
I think I have not heard of this one, or at least I don't remember it by name. But I try to be up on every single one of these. We have a guy in the company, name is David, who I'm very sad moved away. Because if he was here, man, that's somebody I would love to introduce you guys to him and have him come on and heckle me. He is a fascinating character. But he's our AI guy. And so I will for sure be sending him this because I have not seen this before. And then he will go and actually test it and come back and say whether it works in our pipeline or not.
Characters, scenes that you can edit.
Damn. Let's go. All right. Now the question becomes, how consistent is that character? They often feel consistent when it's somebody you don't know. And then when you try to use, like, if I wanted to make it look like me, or if I wanted to make it. So Lisa's come up with this character named Lexi from the comic book that she's producing called Wish Academy. And I've done a bunch of stuff in AI with it. It all blows her mind. And then I'm like, but look closely at it. Her character design has a helmet. The helmet's different in every shot. And so at a high level, you're like, well, she has a helmet in every shot. And so part of your brain is like, oh yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. And then you look at it closely and it changes details from shot to shot. Like the amount of curl that she has in her hair might change over time. Anyway, We will look at this. If you can send that to David, that would be amazing. And we'll give it a shot, man, because if it works, we will start using it like instantaneously. I long for the day where I'm spending the vast majority of my time telling the stories that we have to tell. We've got Mary Mods, which, if you guys know, the comedian Gabriel Iglesias, aka Fluffy, is attached in that project to be an actor. We have a script. We've got character design. Shout out to my boy Herrera Box, who did all the character work. What an insane creative. I love that kid. Yeah, I mean, that, like, we are off trying to get that thing made. Then we've got what Lisa's working on, Wish Academy, which she sums up. She changed it. It is Mean Girls meets Harry Potter. Phenomenal. Most people inside the company will tell you that Wish Academy is our best piece of IP. We'll see. But it is phenomenal. We've got Coyotes of the Air Gap, my personal obsession. Project Kaizen, obviously our game, set in the same universe as Coyotes. So, man, do I want to spend so much time on all that stuff. All right, that was a personal hobby horse. I'll stop now.
Another super chat from Miguel. Thank you for the $9.99. Miguel says,
Thank you, Miguel.
Connect with
Steak and chains.
Nate the Lawyer. See if he can articulate how the LawTube community grew channels like at that umbrella guy over to 70K subs in months via live streams during the Johnny Depp trial.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you can ride on the back of something super culturally hot, like when DeepSeek came out, it was right in our sweet spot. And so that episode absolutely blew up. It was like 300K in just a couple days. So yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, look, going viral isn't necessarily mysterious. It's handling a subject very well that has a ton of cultural energy. But the handling it well part is complex. That worries me a lot less than there just isn't always something popping off in culture. That becomes a problem. And so when something pops off, like if Bitcoin suddenly exploded, we could do an episode, boom, be very easy. If Bitcoin absolutely tanked, boom, we could do an episode and it would take off because we're known for talking about that. People have resonated with the way that I address that subject. If some crazy thing happened with Elon or Trump, like anything of our normal buckets that like society was just going absolutely crazy over. And there's a big difference between that sort of everyday, like people are paying attention to this, like the Tesla fact or the Tesla dealerships burning. People are paying attention, but that's not something that has the culture in like its grip. DeepSeek was the last time where it was just like everybody was freaking out about it because we lost $1 trillion in value in the stock market in a single day based on an announcement from a Chinese company. It was like literally everything we talk about all rolled into one. And culture was really freaking out about it. So the Johnny Depp thing was just mahoosive.
Augustin Machuca says, has your opinion of ADA Cardano changed with the recent happenings at the White House?
No, I know almost nothing about Cardano. So there's not even a fully formed thing there. I'm not going to be, I think I do own some or did own some at one point. So I might still have some, but that's not something that I'm looking at or paying attention to. I buy things that match a thesis. So if Cardano becomes the blockchain, then I would buy some because it's the blockchain. That's why I hold ETH. The reason that I hold Bitcoin, digital gold, blah, blah, blah. So those thesis remain true, and so I hold them, but yeah, I'm not paying attention to that and the stuff that as the government gets very clear on what's going to be in our bucket of assets, whether crypto or the sovereign wealth fund, then that might cause me to have a reaction and say, oh, okay, now I have a thesis about where this is all going, and then I'll invest in that thesis. But them saying that it's going to be part of that did not sway my thesis about what that is, because I don't know what that means right now. Trump fucking talks so loose and fast that just because he says something does not mean that I'm going to move on it.
Even Eder says, I love data. Go with what
you
works.
And me both.
I'll still watch. Winky face.
Well, thank you.
Jason Godo says, does your university help us critical think?
ITU? If that's what you mean. Yes, ITU is literally about applying the physics of progress to different areas of your life. So we have Zero to Founder, which is aimed at people that are, and I think this is going to be huge. My team fights me on this because it doesn't make nearly as much profit, but I think that it is the future is going to be. People are going to lose jobs because of AI, and they're going to be forced to take their career into their own hands and effectively become a solopreneur. So I think a lot of people are going to need that. We will see. But anyway, we've got that. And so physics of progress for somebody that's trying to go from I don't have a company to starting my first company. And then we have our $1 billion CEO, which is about scaling. So if you're already doing, I would say 7 figures. You don't want to, not that you don't want to, because it would help you. We're trying to be very strict about who we let into that. So we don't have a hard and fast rule yet about north of $1 million, but we almost certainly will. But we have people doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in the scaling program. But yeah, it's all about applying the physics of progress to different areas of your life, for sure. Critical thinking is it. That's Timothy.
John Cragness has a follow-up about their earlier super chat saying, add the concept of time to kindness. Please consider difference in behavior variations for most if being kind for 5 minutes versus being kind for 50 years.
Okay. So
You want the earlier super chat again?
no, because I remember it. But what I'm trying to understand, does he think that I'm not being kind? Does he think that I tried kindness for 5 minutes and it didn't work and therefore I'm abandoning that? To me, if we're talking about the same thing, and it is very possible that we are not, to me, this is not a question of kindness. I am kind as a default. It's what feels good. It is the thing I most want to do from just a raw emotion standpoint. The reality is, though, that if your only goal in life is to be kind, great. I want people to live the life they want to live as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. But the life that I want to live is to have impact at scale towards human flourishing. And so like kindness is my default stance. But at some point in a business, for instance, you have to look at an employee and say, are they able to deliver results? Because I can either pay people salary or I can't. And if they're yielding an outcome that is not going to help me pay people salary, then I have to say, you are not good for the company. And so even though it might be kind to carry you along, it's certainly not kind to the other people in the company who are going to lose their jobs because we're not yielding results. So I'll stop there because I don't know that we're talking about the same thing.
Work hard _ hodl BTC says, thanks for the hard work, guys.
Oh,
And thank
That's
you.
very
Work Hard.
kind. Thank you.
That's your name.
It's very, very sweet. Truly my pleasure. I will not speak for Drew, Eric, G, or you nice.
my pleasure too.
Just like Chick-fil-A.
Eunice is like, you guys can fuck right off.
Yeah, because she likes Cane's, so they say no problem over at Cane's.
No, they don't. They said cluck cluck chicken chicken. What combo you pop up a pig?
What is happening? I don't even know what you guys are talking about. What restaurant? Cane's? Is that in LA?
Raising Cane's, yeah. She took her prom photos there.
I've never heard of.
Senior. Not prom.
What is it?
It's a chicken tender place.
In LA?
In LA.
How have I never even
everywhere,
heard of this?
Sir,
Yeah,
everywhere.
What?
It's made it after the pandemic.
Pull it up. I don't believe it. This is fake news.
Fake news.
You guys are going to like AI
Brave?
this image. What?
I can't believe it.
Literally none of these things have I ever heard of.
That's
Yeah, you never.
Raising Cane's
Raising
chicken.
Cane's.
Yeah.
That was
This is fake. This
that
is from a movie.
the most real place I've ever been to in my
What?
life.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
I've never driven by one. Where are these?
You have. You're not driving. You're
Westwood.
looking down at your
That's actually very true. I'm working in the back of an
Yeah.
Uber. Wow. Crazy. I've never even heard of this. I've never seen that logo before in my life.
It's so good.
And it's been around since you were a senior in high school?
I worked there when I was 15 and a half.
It wasn't in LA back then, though.
Okay, I was going to
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
like,
it's new- it's
something
newer
is going
than that.
wrong
Yeah,
here
it's newer.
because I haven't been rich that long. So, like, there's no universe in which I would have missed this if this was in LA, like in the 90s. Not possible. Not possible.
How about if you're just in LA in the last 5 years, which you have been?
Apparently, you can miss it
Look
because,
around.
bro, first of all, I try never to leave my house. Second, when I do leave my house, to your point, I'm working in the back seat of an Uber. That is true. That is real talk. And no, I don't know how much a loaf of bread costs. So we can all spare ourselves that.
It's the price of eggs now.
Yeah, eggs are, and admit I don't know the price of it, but then I hear it talked about. But yeah, for a hot minute, even I was like, are we literally out of eggs? I'm like, I can afford the eggs. So where are the eggs? But crazy
Anyway.
town. Crazy town.
Back to the super chats because we still do
Super
have quite a bit of them.
Raising
Crypto Titan
Cane's.
just sent their very first super
Let's
chat.
go, Crypto
$1.99.
Titan.
Thank you, Crypto Titan.
Thank you,
for being
man.
Here.
Just as like a little bit of love.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Very, very generous.
We have Verse Inspired coming back.
He's back.
with
Let's go.
Let's go, Verse Inspired.
They said.
All right. Hyperspherical true north is a circle through infinity. Hyperspherical true south is an infinitesimally small circle. The highest possible aim is that true north. True south is like an infinitely myopic worldview. Okay. I feel like we're a little bit metaphorical here with a circle through infinity, but I get what you're saying. The expansive worldview versus the hyper myopic worldview is essentially, given what you were talking about with Dark Tetrad and stuff, good, expansive, optimistic, these are my words now, versus the dark, narcissistic, self-obsessed, got it. That is a, you speak in very poetic, like the poetry of physics, which is fascinating.
Yeah, it's very.
But very high level that forces my brain to overclock itself. Thank God that we have you to come back with a more simplified version and AI to step in when needed. Damn, Lyrith is going ham today.
Did you see that pop up?
Ready?
Ready.
All right.
Air Hornet.
Yeah, no shit.
$50 with the air horn. Round of applause. Thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
Larry, thank you.
Super chat.
You're the highest super chat today. There it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, there's no way.
Super chats like
Yeah.
over
Super
X
chat.
amount, like Tom has to break dance.
Nope, we're
Yeah.
definitely not doing that. But we should do something like Twitch style,
Yeah.
where it's like the people that are really gangster. If only our background were an LED wall that we
That's so
could, you see,
You'll be right here,
we
guys.
could have his name showing up. It'd be amazing. It would be amazing, chat. I'm here for it. All right,
Here is
so
Kind of skipping abstract, I go straight to an example of how a method would enable the live stream to pop off. It sounds cringe, but stream in the afternoon and have no shame in grabbing clout. Winky face. People love it. Cross-stream engagement live. Chat goes nuts.
what's the method though? I go straight to an example of how a method would enable the live stream to pop up. What's the method? You guys know?
Stream in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Have no shame in grabbing clout.
Oh, this is the method.
Cross stream
see.
engagement live. Chat goes nuts.
Well, I mean, testing an afternoon stream is certainly easy enough. I don't know how to grab clout. I don't know what that. I mean, I know what it means. Like I get the words, but give me an example. How do you grab clout?
So like how the guy was explaining with the Johnny Depp thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think it's like
That's not grabbing clout. That's riding a cultural wave. Grabbing clout, I think, would be something like.
is it not the same thing?
I read that as like you go to somebody else's stream and you try to.
That.
We going live today and Aiden Ross is coming through and da da da. And we
So like you going on like
I would
Bootcamp Dad
assume.
and being like, yo,
Correct.
come through.
come through. But
Maybe-
that's not grabbing clout. That's just self-promotion.
Yeah,
I think that's what he means, though.
Yeah, I thought that's
Lyrith, help us out.
Self promote.
Yes, that is certainly my read. Shameless self-promotion would be another way to say it.
Well,
Cross-stream engagement, that's for sure.
Well-
Chat goes nuts, like if we had somebody on those big. So we've talked about running experiments instead of having a guest for a standalone episode, because there are people that I'm like, an episode with them, even though they're amazing, our audience would not like an episode with them. And we've done almost 1,000 episodes, so I'm saying this from deep experience. But they could be awesome for the Tom Bilyeu show, the tight 1 hour, bring them on here live with you guys. That kind of thing could be cool. Don't be afraid to break the fourth wall. People love it. Yes, Andrew got it right on clout. Word. Okay, so I mean, we're breaking the fourth wall right now, right? So unless you read that to mean something other than how I take it, look in the camera, acknowledge that you guys, are here for sure. That's a big part of the fun. This is why we do. I mean, we are like almost an hour deep. I think maybe more than an hour deep now on Superchats. So,
Yep. And we still got last epised and Cameron Fry gave us a super chat. So thank you, Larry. We appreciate it. Round
No
of
doubt,
applause in the
brother.
chat.
Crazy.
But yeah,
Sequoia Hall with the $10 saying,
Sequoia's back.
I think your
What's up,
audience
Sequoia?
is worldwide. So what is AM is a great question, or what is PM? I am sure you have data.
Yeah, so this is why we find that at 10 a.m. our time, there's a huge drop off. And so our assumption is that people just have to go to work, or it could be that Europe, because that'd be depending on where they're at in Europe, it's going to be somewhere around 4 or 5 p.m. That you've got people that have to go to work here in the US, and then you've got people internationally that are, finished with their drive home or wherever it is that they're listening to us from, and they now have family responsibilities. So there's definitely more experimentation that we could do there. The reason that we do the mornings is because the mornings are, I'm going to use a word that Drew and Eunice may hate, but it's easier for us in that I can then get the day out of the way. Not as many people are here because just on the other side off camera, we've got a whole company doing company things, and they have to be quiet while we're live streaming. Not silent. We're not super worried about that till we do the tight 1 hour. But we've got a business to run that does a lot of different things. And so you've got a lot of people that have to worry about when we're filming. And so doing it early. Also, when we were running the experiment of getting it out on the same day, that felt like a better play. Now we've got a little bit more flexibility. So we can certainly try, like if we really see, because if the tight 1 hour continues to grow, we don't really have to worry about it. If the tight 1 hour doesn't grow, we've got to go back to experimenting with the lives for the growth, then we would have to really play with time. But man, we're really trying not to play with time for a few months here. We have bounced the times around so much that I think we are now at a point where if we keep experimenting with timing, I think we're going to create a problem. So the tight 1 hours, they're going to drop Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. period, Pacific time, end of story. That's what it's going to be for months because it creates problems with our partners, blah, 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 who are like, you said the ad was going to go out by 2 p.m. and it's now 5 p.m. and they are not happy about that for reasons that I actually find weird, but nonetheless, they don't like it. So all things to address.
Cameron Fry with the $10. Thank you,
Cameron
Cameron.
Fry.
They said, I followed your self-improvement insights for years, N of 1. Why do you now call those empowering themes that drove my growth low utility? Could you still tie them to news? Would add a show theme?
That's a great question, Cameron.
So Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron, for your super chat, by the way.
The ideas have high utility. Every word out of my mouth is based on the mindset that I used to spend all my time presenting to people. What is low utility is spending all my time trying to teach other people. Because for every one of you, and I mean this literally, there is 9.5 other people that will do absolutely nothing with the ideas. And given that, here's the right question to ask of your life. No one can guarantee success, but they can guarantee the struggle. If no one can guarantee you success, and you know whatever you do is going to be hard, then ask yourself, what would I do and love every day, even if I were failing? And so my constant reinvention of the channel has not been based on me thinking this is what's going to work. It has been based on me saying, I might fail at this. And so am I okay failing at this? So to me, I'm already wealthy. So whatever trappings of like, well, just do it to make the money. There's no way. I'm not going to do that. It would just be nonsensical. And I spent so many years of my life doing things I absolutely fucking hated to get rich. And it worked. And so now I'm like, well, why did you get rich? I got rich to tell stories. I got rich to engage with people in a way that was meaningful, in a way that I could control. Okay, cool. So if you want to control, what's the point in having fuck you money if you never say fuck you? So my thing is, I want to, if I'm going to spend my time and energy, like think about, for me to talk about all these things, think about how much time I spend learning about these things. So it is an extraordinary amount of time that goes into making it seem like, oh, I just happen to know about all this stuff. I don't just happen to anything. I spend an obscene amount of time educating myself, leveraging that mindset that I was teaching people to actually do a thing in the real world. So if I'm going to spend all that time, it's got to be on something that I really care about. And so part of the answer is I know mindset stuff so well that I didn't feel like I was learning or I was growing. I felt like I was just repeating the same thing over and over. I did it for years. All that content still exists. So anybody that wants to avail themselves of it can. It's still all there. There are also a gaggle of people that can say the same ideas just as well, if not better than I can. Great. There's going to be no shortage of people out there offering you that content. It's awesome. Once I started getting bored, I was like, I have to change. It also happened to coincide with COVID, where I realized that people were going to get hit by a freight train And I wanted to learn about that so I could help people with it. I have strong impulses to teach. It's just part of my nature. And so I wanted to go learn about those things so I could help other people. And then in learning about that, you end up going down these crazy ass rabbit holes. So anyway, high utility ideas, low utility to teach them to the vast majority of people who will do nothing with them. To keep repeating it, I should say. Because remember, I have hundreds of hours of me covering every topic 6 ways to Sunday on mindset. Plus, everything you see me do here is all built on the foundation of mindset.
Period.
Sips tea.
Sequoia
What?
Hall.
Sips tea.
Is that Sipsty?
Sips tea. Like
Oh, Jesus
sips
Christ.
tea,
Okay.
you know.
Yep, got it.
Okay.
But great question, Cameron. We get that question a lot.
Do we?
Yes,
And you just never bring it to me?
I do.
Because I never hear that.
No, we talk about it a lot of
Interesting.
times.
What do you mean?
But it's usually,
we
usually
talk
framed
about-
like, yeah, why aren't you do mindset anymore? When did you start talking in politics? Time I used to like you. What happened? It's the
Yeah,
same. It's the same question. It's
I guess I take that in a totally different way.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I take it all back.
Sequoia Hall followed up to their super chat with saying, "Yep, need to lock in for a bit."
Word.
Thank you, Sequoia Hall.
Let's go.
Thank you.
My man.
Verse Inspired with another super chat saying, "Circle through infinity appears to us finite observers as an infinitely long straight line. Remember Matthew 7:14, and that we are all spheres of potential moving through time."
Or how will you say to your
Word.
brother, let me remove the speck from your eye, and look, a plank is in your own eye? Jesus was using an analogy during the Sermon of the Mount about don't be a hypocrite. Stop trying to
Are you saying this is tied to verse inspired?
Yeah, because he said Matthew 7:14. So this is Matthew. So 14. I did 4.
Matthew 7:14.
I was like, I don't know how to bring those two things together.
There it is. Jesus states that the gate of life is narrow and the way is constricted and few find it, contrasting with the wide and broad path to destruction that many take.
That's interesting. That's almost flipped from the way that he was talking about it. But verse, each time you come by with this, it makes me think of something. Did you guys know that there is a hypothesis that our universe, our galaxy or universe, I don't know, one of the two, one of the two, it's got to be our universe, is inside of a black hole?
The entire universe is
Yep.
inside of a black hole.
That what we think of as the universe is inside of a black hole because the rotation of galaxies is not uniformly distributed, which something has to answer for that, because that is, unless it's one of those where there's just infinite universes and so there's going to be like every conceivable distribution. Now, the people that put forth that we're inside a black hole, people that disagree with them would say that's one possible reason for why that's true, but it's not the only reason. But I was like, whoa, that is crazy. Like, this is one of those where, okay, when I say that we're living inside of a simulation, the odds are that that's wrong. But what I like about it is a frame of reference that is so dismantling of the frame of reference that we all think, the frame of reference that we all do have, that at least it gets you to completely reimagine everything that's before you. I had that same feeling of, holy shit, if our entire universe is inside of a black hole, that's cool in a way I don't know how to explain, because of the way that it just completely jars my frame of reference. I don't know. Some people may absolutely hate that because they just want certainty. For me, that is so cool. But I don't know. But I went not deep down that rabbit hole, but I went down that rabbit hole when I heard that.
We have old super chats that we need to revisit.
We do. And
We also have Ova
Oh,
in the
one new
chat.
one.
What's up, Ova?
And we got a new one.
we just got one new one. Two new ones.
Let's go.
Super chat.
Super chats.
Okay, wait.
Mike-
This is so funny. I have to read this. D-Side says, we're living in a stress test simulation for a credit company analyzing debt to profile ratios. That's just funny. That's just funny. Okay, sorry. You were going to say.
We've got one from Michael Vander Galian. Thank you for the
Let's go,
11
Michael.
euros. Michael says, America was founded by rebels, adventurers, and outcasts. European states by strongmen who succeeded in over-empowering other strongmen who behaved like roving bands, terrorizing local populations.
That's actually really insightful. So I know where he's at in the live, but that is really insightful. I love that. Michael, yes. Yes. Now, if you go back even farther, they were also the rebels, adventurers, and outcasts that had to survive the battles with saber-toothed tigers and stuff. But yeah, if you look at a more recent snapshot, that all feels true.
Jasmine Meaden said that's literally the plot of Game of Thrones. It's based on European history.
Yeah, quite
It's hilarious.
literally. The War of the Roses. Crazy but true.
Aiko Zamora, thank you for your first super chat on a live stream. Thank you for the $9.99. Aiko says, have you considered making content for Spanish speakers? The Spanish speaking audience on YouTube is huge, and many people would love to watch your videos if they were in Spanish or had subtitles.
Here's the bad news,
Yes.
Aiko. We did make content for Spanish speaking people, and it could not make its money back. So now that AI is driving the cost of translations down, it lowers the bar a lot, but it's still probably not worth the time and money.
Rich actually just sent something over that we're evaluating right now that it can. We just need to figure out if it's a separate channel or if we can do like hit your language.
Oh, yeah, that might work,
Yeah.
but it would need to be such that advertisers could advertise specifically on the language that they care about. But anyway, I would love to do it. Reaching people in other languages would be amazing. This is just a cost-benefit analysis question.
All right, Eunice, can you translate that for Aiko?
What do you want me to say?
Aiko
All of
Wane.
that he just said? Sorry, I was reading another, so I don't.
She's like, I have no idea. I look like I'm paying attention, but I'm not really.
I'm reading. Listen. I'm trying to multitask here. Aiko, a lo mejor un día lo van a hacer, pero ahorita no.
Let's
Cuesta
go.
mucho. Ahorita.
There it is. I was going to say that for real, but I was like, you know what? No need to
I'm
flex.
gonna let Eunice.
No
say
need
it.
to
You know,
flex. Yeah.
I don't want to take all the credit. Yeah.
All
So
right,
true.
and we have biddies again. From
Let's go,
Straw Hat.
biddies.
Which Straw Hat says, will there be more Kaizen streams? And if Tom can't stream, are there plans for someone on the team to stream Kaizen?
Ooh.
We really should have you nice in there streaming with a occasional, I don't know how to make that sentence make sense. Eunice should be streaming occasionally. That would be amazing. I will do it sometimes. Can I confess a real problem that I think about every single day? My hand is beginning to hurt.
Oh.
So when I play, I really have to like limit the amount that I play. When we were like really in it from streaming, this is what started it because I was playing almost every day. There was one point I was streaming 7 days a week. And I was like, uh-oh, my hand is like really starting to be like a problem where I'm icing it every day. Yeah. So welcome to old age. But I am hopefully there's a way to like get stem cells injected or something. So I'm going to get pretty serious about exploring that because you guys haven't seen this part, but Kaizen is really getting better. The next mode. And so my goal is to make it the game I would want to play. So if it becomes that, then injections and all the like, just to make sure that I can enjoy my own creation, would be pretty important. So that's another part of the reason that I haven't done as many streams, just because now it's like being a footballer who goes out on the field and comes back. It's like, oh God, my knees. So yeah, something real to think about. But yes, I will do streams, especially when we launch the new version. I'm 100% going to be there to walk people through that. We'll be opening it up for a week. Eunice, by the way, is now doing a lot of the project. She's doing the project management. So if you have any questions about when things are coming out and all that stuff, she can speak to it. I still think we're probably at least a month away from even being able to do a tester. But I've gotten more involved with a deeper sense of intensity recently. So we are making more rapid progress. Shout out to the team that has responded to said intensity very well. So I'm excited about our progress, but still progress must be made. Sounds like I need an ice bath, says Ova. I am taking hand ice baths, just not full body.
Chat. It's that time of the day, of the night.
Is it really? God, it happens fast. It really does.
9:57.
Oof, we are there.
Stephanie Lynn Birnbaum just sent over 489 super chat.
All right.
Stephanie
Also,
Lynn.
did we get through all the ones from last
Haven't
week?
even
So
touched the ones
we're
from-
going to do them right away. We're going to speed round, but let's go.
Let's speed run.
Line them up. Guys,
Yeah.
don't submit any more super chats because we are going to have to end the stream, and I do not want to push you off until next week. So your generosity is acknowledged. You guys are amazing. But hang that one up.
Stephanie
for next
Lynn
week.
had a question attached to her super chat.
Yeah, go for it.
Future topics: Disney, Microsoft, computer chips, and China. What are the dots to connect?
Cool. I love it. We will talk about it soon. That is an interesting string that I think really does.
Soon.
Like, you can talk about that. What's that?
That she asked the super chat.
Just asked it right now.
She asked it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, because she said future topics. So I thought she meant, hey, make sure that you go into this later.
Oh, how do they future topics? Disney, Microsoft, computer chip.
Okay, so here, let me draw a line between them. Pull that back up just so I can be looking at it. Okay, so Disney obviously is going to go full AI. Don't believe anything to the contrary. They may occasionally turn something out that they say this one's entirely handmade, but it's going to go all AI all the time. Microsoft obviously right now is one of the biggest players in AI, so there's certainly a connection there. The computer chips and China, that becomes a question of our modern way of life, the fact that we are in a Cold War with them and an AI race where they would advance themselves tremendously in the AI race if they reclaim Taiwan. Don't think that they're unaware of that. It's not like I'm saying it and they're going to be like, oh my God, we never thought of that. That is exactly one of the things that they are thinking about as they run the calculation of whether now is the time or not to reunify. That would be bad mojo for us. This is why we need to continue to incentivize the onshoring of manufacturing, to have a relationship with, I was for TSMC. I forget the call sign for the superconductor company out of Taiwan. It's those letters in some order. So yeah, there is a lot of connection between those things. I think that AI is actually going to give an opportunity to disrupt Disney. It still takes a long time to create IP that lodges itself into the psychology of people, though. So they have a massive head start. All right, that's what I got to say about that.
All right, and now we can go over to the super chats.
Let's go.
The last live
Let's
stream.
go.
We've got Maverick Mentality with $2 saying Kaizen personality mapping for dynamic AI interact.
Well, your AI, when AI is done well, it's going to respond dynamically to what you want. If you let me carry this out, call it 10 years, you're going to be pulling in a ton of data. And so AI will become aware of instantaneous physiological changes and will adjust accordingly based on the goals that you set for it. So yes, in maybe a far more extreme way than you're thinking currently.
We've got Brutus Lugo saying, Tom is more mad at Tim's reaction than the fact that Trump is causing Tesla to drop.
Why would I be mad at people voting against? No. I know why I was mad at Tim Walz. I'm saying, why would I be mad that Tesla's going down? So if people don't like Tesla, then they should vote with their dollars and go elsewhere. This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm perfectly happy. I don't own Tesla that I know of. So I'm perfectly happy to live and die by the things that I say we should do. And people should absolutely be able to vote with their dollars. What I'm saying is, the thing that upset me about Tim Walz, he does not give a fuck. He doesn't understand, or he doesn't give a fuck that the average American who owns assets is tied up in Tesla. Tesla is one of the most important stocks, full stop. So when you laugh because you're taking down a wealthy guy who is not even, I mean, look, they could even boot him out of the company and all that. He is still going to be obscenely wealthy. So you're not going to end up hurting him from a can I live the life I want to live perspective, but you actually will hurt grandmas in the world. And so it is such an absurd way to look at the world. It's so team sports. It's so schadenfreude of I'm laughing because my enemy is falling. It's dumb. So I'm just saying, guys, that is not the thing to invest in emotionally.
Esoteric Dichotomy says, hey, Tom, maybe not drop to zero. Data centers and solar stations take land space. Poor people might compete with local factory space. Land costs may rise.
Energy costs.
Right. The only thing I could see is that it won't drop to zero instantaneously, but I don't see how it doesn't drop to zero unless intelligence is capped. If intelligence is capped, it won't ever hit zero. But if we actually achieve super intelligence where it's 100 times, 1,000 times smarter than the average person, you will be able to capture every bit of energy from the sun that you need to. At 1,000 times smarter than a human being, and keep in mind, people are prognosticating 1 billion times smarter, you will capture every drop of energy that the star puts out. And that's only what, a type 2 or type 3 civilization? There's type 5. So yeah, it will go to zero. It's just a question of timeline. And again, making the base assumption that intelligence is not upward bound.
Love sent over $1.99 with no comment or question.
Well, thank you,
Just the
Love.
first Super chat with a
Love it. Thank you.
$1.99. Thank you,
Very
Love.
generous.
We love it.
Yes, indeed.
Cameron Vaughn says XRP case dismissed. CBDC officially here.
They're going to need to say more about the CBDC unless they mean in Europe. CBDCs are evil. Don't fall for it. Please vote against it. I beg of you, for your own sake. Terrible idea. And then I love the direction, obviously, that the government is going in terms of regulating crypto. Set my people free.
Mr. Mike AZ says guest ideas. Tim Pool, George Gammon, Lynette Zhang, Colin Noir.
Colin Noir and Tim Pool are the only names in that list that I know. It's my understanding that, and isn't it, it's not like straight Colin.
Colin?
Is it just straight up Colin Noir? I thought there was something slightly spicy about the ways. Anyway,
Could be a typo.
He's all Second Amendment. And while I am here for the Second Amendment, do I want to do a whole episode on it? Probably not. If I can be convinced, I'm very open, but I don't initially have a pull towards that. Tim Pool feels like a team player. Oh, God. So I don't know him, and maybe I'm wrong. I met him once super briefly, but I don't have a pull towards that. So I'm open.
Another super chat from Love. They said, if you feel your research has improved by using GPT Chat AI, what are your thoughts on exposing kids to use AI, such as GPT Chat?
Yeah, 100%. You want, just like anything, you want to put that on rails. You want to make sure the parents know what's being said. Kids, I think I can make just a kill shot argument for you. Not only should you let your kids engage with AI, you morally, ethically must let your kids on rails with your supervision, but AI will be a teacher that is so much more effective than any human could possibly be, that to not have your child educated by AI is a form of child neglect.
Boom. Brutus Lugo.
See, Mad Villainy says it's Coleon. I'm telling you, there's some spice on his name.
Some spice on his name.
I see it as Colin.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is Coleon.
Brutus says communism doesn't necessitate forced redistribution of
What
wealth.
doesn't? Sorry.
Communism
Doesn't necessitate forced redistribution of wealth. Communism is post-scarcity and post-money, so redistribution wouldn't be necessary.
This is from yesterday, right?
I am just the messenger.
So I can chill myself the fuck out.
I'm guessing when we go through like socialism to get to communism, then it'll be
Bro.
Yeah.
Try.
Oh.
Bro.
Try.
Fucking, where is my read the fucking books button? Like, we need that button. And I'm going to scream into the fucking mic.
They will eat the kids.
Jesus
they will eat their
Christ.
own kids.
People, and I don't even want that to become a joke. Guys, fucking hell. Will you work for free? No. And will you work for free while the government slowly starves you to death? No. So if you want to, like a sci-fi writer, talk about a world in which there is no scarcity and things are aplenty, why do you need communism? You don't. Let motherfuckers go take advantage of all the things that are available to them, but communism is equity. It is even. Everybody same. Actually, it's not even technically that. It's even fucking worse than that. It's dumber than that by leagues, because it is each according to their abilities, to each according to their needs, or whatever the fucking exact words are, which is the dumbest, most ignorant to human nature thing I've ever heard in my life. And every time, not people try it, every time they fucking do it, people starve to death. Jesus Christ. I can't believe that people look at the real world and go, that's going to work.
All right.
I feel like we triggered you. It was kind of funny.
Dude,
it's not funny. It's not funny.
Triggered on behalf of other people. I want to see them live a life that is good. And you can't look at a creature, in this case, the human animal. And dude, honestly, this is what I hear when people talk about communism. Tom, I want you to think about all the things that dolphins don't get because they're forced to live in the fucking ocean. How disgusting of you, Tom, that you want to see dolphins stay in the water. That is grotesque. They can't go to a fucking Raising Cane's chicken. They can't go to a Chuck E. Cheese. What kind of fucking sinister asshole are you that you are going to make dolphins live in the ocean? And I'm like, hey, fuckwit, when you take them out of the ocean, they die. How about that? What the fuck are we arguing about? I get it. I want to see dolphins eat as much Raising Cane's chicken as the next person. But holy fuck, they will die if you bring them onto land. What are we talking about? Jesus Christ. Sips tea.
And another super chat from Michael. Michael with the €2 says, "You and Vlad make good points. Possible guest? Question mark.
Vlad? Who's Vlad?
From
the Impaler?
No, Vlad from the YouTube video from Wednesday. The one who's talking about.
Oof, too long ago. That was 2 days ago.
That's so crazy. That was 2
Welcome
days
to
ago.
how.
He made the video about how Trump is a narcissist or whatever.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. Got you.
Possibly. Yeah.
We have to see if it will work for the
listen
channel.
to Raising Cane.
Here's the thing. If we dropped that as a clip and that clip smashed, then yes, I could see doing something like that. But we would need some indication that that they will perform on the channel. The problem is when you only put out one interview a week, that's only 52 a year. And when it doesn't work, then you just shot yourself in the foot. So we have to be very careful about who we bring on the show. So there it is. Hello, beautiful Andrew. Right back at you. That's
Zach
Vlad.
Goldwasser says, "Have you built any no-code or low-code agents or AI-integrated automations? Seems like the most advanced step after making custom GPTs."
Yeah, so I have, but I've spent very little time with that. But I grow more interested in doing that by the day. We have a guy here, name's Ed. Ed, what's up, Ed? Who is constantly running these to see what the reality is of their output. And if the output gets good enough, then I will for sure start diving in. There's been very limited use for me as of right now in terms of the things I need to do for the company. But yeah, one thing I thought about doing is I would love to create a automatic system that would create social content for video games and comic books so that we could build an audience and then pepper in our own stuff into that. That was something I was thinking about this morning. That could get interesting. We'll see. I haven't played with it enough, but if that gets there, yeah, I'm all for it. All right, Drew, we are over. Have we answered all the super chats yet? Okay, cool. Let's do them.
Patrick Wrightson says, "Exactly. Working for free equals slavery, communism. In the limit equals working for free, at least at a non-insignificant capacity."
Here is what people are missing. The reason that this goes so wrong is that people will push back against it. And so then you have to say, I'm going to force you to do this. That is the problem. Okay? In China, what would happen is the Communist Party or the CCP, they would come and say, this is how we need you to plant the grains. And people would say, no. In our neighborhood, the weather's different. We can't plant it like that. And they'd be like, no, you have to do it this way because they're supposed to follow orders. And so then the harvest would be worse. And they would go, okay, remember when I told you that we had to do it this way? But the people in control understand that if they lose control, if they let people debate, then they're never going to be able to get to the utopia. So they literally kill you just to get you to be quiet, right? And now, even though it is psychopaths that do this, but let's pretend that it was benevolent people. You do actually have to kill that person for real. Because if you want to get to the other side of this, you cannot have people dissent. The problem is humans dissent. They don't see things the same way. And so a person will go, but there are people in my neighborhood that are starving to death. But that's very inconvenient for getting to the utopia. So you have to kill them. And so what ends up happening is you kill all the people that are dissenting, but then you kill the people that actually know what's going on. So then unintentionally, because you had to silence the dissenting voices, sound familiar on COVID? Want to know why I voted for Trump? So it's like, then you get into this position where all the people that actually knew something, they're fucking dead. And then the people that don't know the thing, that are willing to follow the orders, they starve everybody to death because they don't know what they're doing. So it's like, it's one of those, it just doesn't work. So if it worked, then I'd be like, cool. It doesn't work. You, as somebody that's had employees, I will just tell you, you can't get everybody to agree on how to do things. And you have to kill them to get them to be quiet. Otherwise, they will just fracture. It just is. You can try locking them all up, but the prisons aren't big enough. And then you find that people get cruel in the prisons, blah, blah, blah. Read about the gulag. So yeah, I don't know. You just cannot violate the physics of the human experience, period.
And our last super chat of the day and from last stream from Lyrith. Lyrith says, more threats to rank. A, globalist pressures to homogenize given today's free speech threats and directions allies have taken. My theory, that's due to corporate funding, U.S. aid. B, Marxism, or C, oligarchy. So three total.
Oligarchy is going to be last because there's no way to have a society of any size. I mean, even in my marriage, my wife will be the first to tell you that I lead. So even in a dyad, you're going to have a leader. Oligarchy simply means that you're led by a few people. So you're always and forever. It's inescapable all through human history, all through every strata, everything. There's always going to be a small group that leads. So that one's dead last. Free speech is always my reflexive. That's the thing you have to protect because that is thinking. That is how you avoid communists from killing people. Tom was bullied growing up. I actually wasn't. A little bit, I guess, on my ears, but nothing I would say crazy.
All right, I got to trick you one more time.
Oh God, here we go.
I'm sorry.
Right, what's happening?
Tom is ignoring the AI robot future with post-scarcity and no money. That is communism. Communism isn't just whatever the USSR did. Before you respond, communism is post-capitalist.
Just want to do a time check here. It is 10:14 a.m.
That's the last one. If you just make this as
just want to do a time check on this last super chat that we need to get through. Tom, have you completed your thought?
I have it. I will keep it nice and succinct.
The super chat is complete.
The super chat is complete?
Super chat is complete.
Thank you guys for your super chats.
Thank you all very much.
We really appreciate them.
That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
Really appreciate it. Appreciate your support. I have never had more fun making content than I have doing the lives. I actually find them far more enjoyable than I find the tight 1 hour. That's because of you guys, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys manipulating my neurochemistry. We all long to
it's like loading up.
Have
it is.
A strong emotion.
It's like when you put the thing, the Mento in the Coke bottle.
Nope. I'm gonna stay nice and calm. Here's the thing. Let's not, I am as prone to this as anybody. Let's not get in a game of semantics. So if you're saying that there is a world that we actually may be moving towards that is post-capitalist, I agree with you. I would need you to give me a definition of communist because I would say that communism is the idea that you so often hear, which is people do what they can and they give to people based on their need. Okay, there's a more rhymey way to say that, but you get the idea. And what I'm saying is the only way to do that is tyranny. And I'm trying to avoid tyranny. Now, why is the only way to do that tyranny? Because you cannot get humans to think in a monolithic way. And when you have dissent, people break into teams and they will move in different directions. You can't have that and a communist society. So my base assumption is communism is not compatible with the way the human mind works. Now, if I'm right about that, and oh Lord, do I believe I am, then there is no way to have communism, as I just defined it, as they sloganeer themselves. You can't have that and have the human mind. So even if we are post-scarcity, you will not be in a communist society because people are going to feel very differently about, hey, I should be able to have more. I shouldn't have to give anything to you. You should be responsible. You go take care of yourself. And this is a world of abundance. So if you're fucking up in a world of abundance, that's on you. Now, maybe I'll be the only dissenting voice, but I'll be fucking screaming that from the rooftops. And so if anybody joins my team, then you will necessarily have to kill me because I'm not going to stop fucking saying it because I believe it to be true. So now you get into the same fucking problem we were in before, which is you don't get to tell me how to allocate my resources. So even in a world of abundance, I would say you don't get to tell me how I can obviously within bounds. I'm not a no government guy, but I am literally, and I mean this literally, violently opposed to communism. So if you're pulling a sleight of hand and saying anything post-capitalist is communistic, I think you're wrong definitionally, but I won't waste time on the semantics of the word. I was like, cool. Yeah, I think that we actually might get to a post-capitalist society where people are not doing things for the money because they can have anything they want. Because we do have to record an episode. I'm going to leave it at that. I love you guys. Thank you.
Chat, always a good time.
Thank you, chat. Thank you again for all your chats and super chats. Super appreciated.
All right. And let's
Peace. All right, guys. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Till next time, my friends, be legendary. Later, guys.